This is the part where the music plays.
Is rhythm even here?
Rhythm forgot to show up today. Oh man.
That's what Sakota forgot. He forgot rhythm.
Alright, well, it looks like our fallback for the broken music has now broke. Music file is no longer in the server.
Alright. Everyone just start singing a random tune and we'll just go with it.
You say, go, go.
Okay, not copyrighted
Got the
music.
Fortnite in the back.
No, you stop that.
When all you gotta keep is strong, move along.
This didn't work out. Anyways, well, this train crash is NINJAGOcast episode 48, The Island.
That sounds like a bootleg title.
This train crash, yeah. Whew, we've been deserted on this island for so long that we forgot how to podcast. So we're gonna have a really fun time today. We even have a special guest, but before we get there, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Sensei Wolf.
I'm LJ.
I'm Mesa.
I'm Sakota.
And today our special guest, who this is not our special guest's fault, he just we're just having a fun time. But he's along for the fun ride. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to a big Ninjago fan. He's also a good friend of a lot of ours, whether it be for video games or Ninjago. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Ulti.
Hello.
This time, Ulti.
I don't know what I was expecting, but that met
Ulti,
every
I think
expectation.
The Gamer Moment podcast.
Shut up. Do not advertise. Do not advertise that here, Meso. It is not.
It's already been done.
It's
You can't take it back.
literally not family friendly. Shut your mouth.
Sorry, emotion.
It's alright, we didn't save the VOD for the recent one.
That's incredible.
How are you doing, Ulti? Tell everybody a little bit about Ninjago and your history with it.
Wow. So, I watched Ninjago when it first came out. I was like, wow.
Really?
I can't believe it. You know, the year is like, what, 2010, 2011?
Yeah.
Barnacle is dead.
That's how all these
Thanks, I
stories
know.
start.
Thanks for reminding us.
I didn't know.
No way, that happened?
And I'm like, whoa. They got rid of the elements of stone and water and replaced with lightning. Oh, and air was gone, but like, anyway, that was kind of on thin ice to begin with. And then I watched it, and I was like, this is good. And I kept watching it, and this is good. And then a little-known season called Skybound came out. I was like, this is terrible, so I stopped watching it.
What?
Oh,
Wow.
And then I watched a bit more. And then I stopped watching it again.
This is good stuff. I love it.
And then they were like, right. Hello, my name is Chadminson, Chief Lego Ninjago designer. And this is Ninjago Legacy Titan Mech.
Oh my
Oh my god.
And I was like, I'll be damned if I don't buy that.
All
Or
right.
if I don't get someone to buy it for me.
Oh my god.
Wow.
yeah.
And now I'm into Ninjago again. Because, god damn, have you seen that mech, bro?
Ulti, that's not a word. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut you off at the pass. This is gonna need editing anyway. We don't use that word on podcasts. Like,
Oh,
at all. Remember that whole thing?
gosh, heck.
Remember that whole thing before we started where I'm like, you gotta be family friendly, and Haley was like, you gotta be family friendly.
Looks
This
like
is-
Ulti forgot his part too.
This is exactly why I kept on telling the others, like, when there was this big push, hey, we should allow some slight language in the Discord server. I'm like, we shouldn't do that. It's a slippery slope that's just going to allow it to just persist in podcasts. And they're like, nah, it'll be fine. Guess who was right?
It took 4 years of payoff, but
Listen.
you were right.
Listen, the only reason that it took...
a guy nobody knows.
Yeah,
I'm
the only...
LJ's Trojan horse.
Thanks so much, LT.
All right.
Alright, guys.
case you all-
see you now.
in case-
I've served my purpose. I'm out.
No, we need you for discussion. In case you all are wondering what we're talking about, everyone but Sakota today was not prepared. It's been a while since, NINJAGOcast, because it's been a while since Ninjago's come out. So LJ forgot that he does recaps. Tyler forgot that he gets screenshots. I forgot that I'm supposed to list the episode names. And then we all forgot we had a special guest today.
Yes.
And then Rhythm forgot to exist.
So you have no music.
Yeah. So we're on a roll today. We're gonna see how many tally points we get. But we're having fun. I hopefully you all are having fun too. So
this is why I keep on saying we need to have more frequent Ninjago casts than just whenever there are new episodes.
Now, technically, our last Ninjago cast was for the 10th anniversary, which wasn't too long ago, but we also didn't have to get so much prepared for it.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah.
I mean, the Tommy and Michael interview was also like a Ninjago.
True, that was a Ninjago cast. True. So we've had Ninjago cast, we just haven't had Ninjago coverages for episodes and whatnot for a very long time. So yeah. So we're here.
I say let's kick this off.
I say, yeah, we're here. We're here to talk about the newest special called The Island.
It's a cool season.
This is not
It's not a
14.
season. Well, let's go ahead and before we even get to the coverage of the actual island, let's go ahead and have this brief discussion. Is the island a season?
Yes.
And why is the answer no?
Shit over.
No.
This is coming from someone who once upon a time very strongly believed and still believes in the logic behind the pilots being a season. It's not a season. There's no conceivable way it can be a season.
But Meso.
I mean,
It has several
it's
episodes.
Either special or it's part of season 14 together with the stuff later
In
this
what
year.
world to people, I'm very curious, is a line with 4 sets, half a year's worth of sets, not a whole year like pilots, and 4 episodes that cumulatively only total up to Day of the Departed? In what world is that season 14, and why is everyone saying it is, or why is a large majority of people saying it is?
But guys, think about this argument, okay? What if it isn't season 14? What if it's season 16?
No.
Oh, God.
Why? No.
this guy has got a point.
That's the
Ninjago
other.
is just so messed up when it comes to like season counts, because we all are like, yes, the pilots, we finally all agree pilots are not a season, the episode count does not count in like the episode full count, and then Lego comes along and is like, March of the Oni celebrates 100 episodes and we're going to count the pilots for the 100th episode count, so episode 98 is the 100th episode. We're like, no, you were so close.
That will never not bring me unyielding pain.
They were so close to getting it right. And then now it's so much discourse. And so I like the idea that we are now in chapters rather than seasons, because we are in the weird area where season 11 is both the fire and ice chapter, while season 12 and 13 are like 16 episodes each, yet Lego still refers to them both as season 2. It's crazy.
I
just wanna try
wish we went by
Stop
easy.
season number.
I wish we went by the easy marker that every set wave was a season. That would make it so much easier. But then we would have to include things like Day of the Departed, so it doesn't work. So I agree with Sakota that we can't. Like, I wish we could just stop.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea of just referring to it by name. It's Prime Empire. It's Master of the Mountain. It's the Island. That's it.
Yep.
Boom.
So
I mean, The movie's canon, right?
Die.
No.
No. I think everyone can agree on that front. Movie is most definitely not canon. It's a fun parody, but it is not canon.
You mean alternate?
Ninjago multiverse.
Yeah, you mean alternate universe in which a crossover is not only going to happen, but destined to?
What?
Destiny 2?
Oh my god!
All right, so I want to commit
LJ
murder.
said it.
No, I said destined to. Destined to.
I only hear Destiny 2.
Yeah, I know you
I
do,
only
Haley.
hear
It's a
that.
little bit of a problem.
Whether we wanted it or not.
3 out of the 5 people here have a crippling addiction to drugs.
4 out of the 5.
Do
Dakota is
not
the only one that's clean.
What?
do not drag me in with you, you heathen. Okay.
I don't know, man.
You and I have played the same amount of this season.
So moving on. I definitely think that not only is the movie Secret Season 8, which makes this season 17, but
Oh god.
I wish we just went back to how Bionicle used to do it and could just call a year a year.
Yeah.
See,
Like,
I agree.
I feel like
That
I feel
makes
like that
sense.
could work, except for the fact that I can't even remember what came out in 2019. So, like,
I mean,
was that
Master
was that a
of the
combination
Mountain.
Oni and secrets.
Wait,
But that was both March of the Oni and Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu.
Yeah.
Pain.
That just feels weird to
Pain.
combine them
Like-
in the same thing.
When I did my 10-year anniversary project and I built one model per year, so many people got confused. I don't think that works for Ninjago.
That's a fair point. So, Goda, you did do that, so you really got to feel the whole like year,
Yeah,
you know. And you have to
Like,
decide, oh, what do I want?
some
to
years
represent
just have
this year?
2 totally different seasons, so
Mhm.
I kind
So-
of get why Ninjago
And then there's
fans
20
go about it different way. Yeah.
And then there's 2017, where you have to decide: is this going to be the year of Hands of Time, or is this going to be the year of the movie, or is this the year of
so it's lose-lose. Like, you don't get a good year that year.
a Day That Apart?
What if we do it based on wave?
We could do it based on Wave, but then how does
That's how I
Legacy
do
fit
it.
in?
That's how I always used to
Does
do it.
Legacy didn't happen, not real, except that definitely did happen because that mech is.
I was gonna say, very careful because that meant his legacy. So.
Yeah, I like to do it by wave. That's how I've always gone about it. That's why I
Mhm.
thought the pilots should be considered, because they made up 2 different waves. They made up literally like a full year, the sheer weight of like shelf presence they had. But then you get into like runtime discrepancies and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can't really do that as
So.
much.
Well, Ninjago is just, so messed
Weird.
up on that front. But I think to bring this back to a full circle, if we're gonna continue season names or season numbers, I am so excited for season 14 that is not yet aired.
In season 18?
No, season 14. Season 14
Season 18.
has not yet come out. Please spread the word.
I don't even like the idea of it being a season 15. Season 18 is like
That's
killing me.
LJ counting Woo's teas.
Woosties.
Well, actually, if you include all the product advertisements they have on Lego.com,
Oh my goodness.
it's like season 33, right?
But we also have to include the Dark Island trilogy because it had a mural.
Oh, yep. There you
Yeah.
go. That's all through a season. Oh my goodness. We're going to go down a rabbit hole that's deeper than, the hole that the giant stone warrior fell down. So
Funny.
we're going to go ahead and leave this discussion, leave your comments or whatever. I say that's also another deep hole to go down. What do you guys think about the season count? And did we just watch season 14, or is season 14 about to come out? And why is season 14 about to come out? Well, yeah, I think it's time to discuss a bit about the island, because that's why we're here.
Yes.
So, LJ,
Hello, I'm LJ.
are you ready?
I'm LJ. I don't know who Ready is.
Yes, you are. player one. Are you ready to give us the epic recap of Ninjago the Island?
My recaps ended in 2016. Okay.
That's both a very sad statement and also, come on, give me that recap. I'm
All right.
bringing it back.
Today we're gonna
Ninjago
go.
recap reviews.
We're gonna go ahead and look over season 18, The Island. So the season starts off, and we have Master Wu, Misako, and our legendary Clutch Powers with his proteges rummaging through a jungle. They're doing their thing, bringing some sun tanning machines, you know, the huge. So they eventually come across this stone tiki head kind of a structure, and they're like, stone tiki heads. Comes alive, and we get our title. So the ninja, they're chilling, doing their thing at base. All of a sudden, they get a knock on the door. And it's one of the folks from the Explorers Club. And this person from the Explorers Club says that Misako Gamadon's membership has been revoked, for they have gone on an expedition and have not been heard from in weeks. So after a smidge bit of discussion, the ninja are like, we're going to go to the island. We need to figure out how we can get to the island and what to expect. So they somehow track down a guy in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, and he just so happens to be the only person known to have survived being on that island. His name, we're going to forget his name. So they're like, hey, come along with us. Thank you. Twitch Stream Tim. So Twitch Stream Tim is like, I don't want to go back to the island. Sub for more great content. And they're like, come on, come to the island. And he's like, I don't want to go to the island. Sub for more great content. And then he goes with them. So they go to the island. We get plenty of set commercial goodness. Catamaran Sea Battle, Sans Battle. We get the bounty that doesn't exist in this season. We get bikes. We get Toa canisters that don't actually exist in this season. And they start exploring the island for some things. And that more or less covers, technically, episode 1, Uncharted. Mm-hmm. So episode 2, The Keepers of the Amulet, begins. The ninja are running around, doing their thing, trying to figure out where the heck everyone is, when all of a sudden, they come across, that's right, our beloved Spot. Oh, I'm sorry, YouTube commenter 528. It's Zippy. Zippy the Jungle Dragon, whose wings and tail don't look anything like the set, because they aren't gold, they're actually some sort of red. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So, Zippy's zipping around, doing his zippy thing, not really being like any kind of a zipper, but doing a zip, 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 zip. And he's playing with the ninja. The ninja are like, oh, he's so friendly. Have a coconut. Buy Zippy. So they keep on going around, trying to figure out where everyone is, and they come across a stone statue. Antics ensue, and the statue promptly scares Ninja away. They get across a rickety bridge, and all of a sudden, most of them are captured by the Keepers of the Amulet, sans Lloyd. So the ninja are taken by their goofy-looking, jam-skinned captors to another spot in the island where they are promptly informed of more than they should be. This leads to the keepers being like, we don't want you to steal our stuff. Ninja are like, we don't want to steal your stuff. Keepers are like, allow me to explain the stuff. Ninja are like, okay, that's interesting. And then the keepers go, now you know too much. You have to die. And that's the end of the episode. Moving on to episode 3, The Gift of LJ. The episode begins, and the ninja meet back up with Misako and Wu. They're all captured. Oh, Clutch Powers is there too with his proteges. That's not going to end poorly. Ha 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 ha. Could put that Chekhov's gun up on the wall. So, they're doing their thing, being captured. I speak English. Meanwhile, Lloyd and Twitch Stream Tim, they're in a cave trying to figure out their next step. Lloyd is trying to boost Twitch Stream Tim's confidence, being like, it's okay if you don't have a lot of viewers. You can get more. And he's like, gift subs. So Lloyd's like, I give up on you. He leaves. He's trying to find the ninja. Meanwhile, LJ has been... Jay has been captured, separate from all the rest of the ninja, and he keeps on being referred to as the Gift of Jay. Then we see our two-headed compatriot, who does not, by the way, say, oh, two heads are better than one. But he comes in and he starts giving Jay a bunch of gifts. And Jay is like, oh, you want to make me your king? Because apparently he has experience with this kind of thing. It's not an uncommon thing to happen to Jay, which, I mean, that just happens to people that have Jay in their names. We can't help it. In any case, moving on, Lloyd is like, I'm going to raid this entire village. Hey, dragon, that conveniently showed up following me for no reason other than you need to be here. Have a coconut. Go get him. Dragon wreaks havoc. Lloyd frees everyone that's captured. They all go their separate ways to try and find Jay. They do not find Jay. So then they make their way over to the amulet, where Clutch is like, I want it. And the other ninja are like, no, don't. And Clutch is like, stop me. And then the keepers come in and are like, done. And they stop him. Meanwhile, we get the ending of The Last of Us 2. All of the ninja are being basically crucified on a beach, and Jay is being sacrificed, because it's in our nature. What can I say? The big bad guy that I don't remember the name for. He's got like the really cool crown headpiece thing and, you know, the deep voice. And, yeah, whatever she said. Anyway, he's like, hey, we got to keep this like giant underwater serpent from waking up and like destroying the world and making it Aquamagon from Bionicle. By the way, you guys remember Bionicle? I really want to talk about the tragedy of Bionicle the Sith. Anyway, so they decide we're going to go ahead and sacrifice Jay. They tie him to a boat. They send him off into the mist. All of a sudden, oh no, Wahira, I don't know how this is pronounced. It's pronounced so many different ways in the show. Shows up, and it's like, I want to eat some food. And Jay's like, oh no, I'm gonna get eaten, oh no. And Ninja are like, oh no, he's gonna get eaten, oh no. We gotta be really worried for Jay, like everyone's been saying we needed to be this entire time. Thanks, Tommy Andreasen! Anyway, Jay keeps on going. Kai remembers he has fire powers for like the 15th time, at which point I don't blame him. They keep on losing them. How can they even keep track anymore? Anyway, he burns the ropes. He gets free. He gets all the other ninja free. Antics ensue yet again. The ninja manage to get to Jay, but not in enough time before, Spaghetti-O, Rojadadabjur has a chain and zucks Jay into the mist. The ninja are horribly downtrodden. They don't know what to do, but move on to the next and final episode of this special that isn't actually an episode, but is instead one entire movie, or 2 episodes, or 4, depending on who you ask and what YouTuber has it uploaded. The Tooth of Rohirra. Rojira? We don't know what the name is.
I'm genuinely impressed with all the words in that you managed to pronounce tooth wrong.
So the final episode shows up. The teeth of Rojuna. So the keeper is like, the first Spinjitzu master told us to guard this. And now we failed? Nah, we're still good. Ninja are like, why did you kill Jay? He might be dead now because of you. And they're like, backstory time. So after we get their tragic protagonist backstory, we do, in fact, see the ninja, like, go and try and find them. Meanwhile, we see that, yep, it looks like the evil Rojira that has a chain hook is actually a giant ship. And it's piloted by criminals. See? We've got Jay now, see? We don't have any more diamonds, see? But we do got this person. So, they end up coming to this underwater, not really underwater, but this cave. Kind of tucked off to the side. They're like, hey, we got a person. Hey, where's the person? Jay, he starts doing his thing, because, you know, people with Jay in their name are actually, like, really fantastic and good at fighting and being protagonists and whatnot. Anyway, so he manages to escape, and that's going pretty well, until the ninjas show up, and it goes even better. And they're like, we figured out who it is. It makes perfect sense. And everyone's like, who is it? Is it Fujidove? Is it the mechanic? No, it's Ronin. He's back. Finally here, justifying his existence in Ninjago City Gardens on Lego Shop at Home right now, or in your local Lego retail store. Antics ensue for the final time. They manage to beat Ronin. Zippy the Twitch streamer comes back, and he's like, hey guys, LJ forgot what his name is. How's it going? Then he pulls an Independence Day, "Honey, I'm home," or what's the quote? "Hey boys, I'm back!" Pow! Twitchy, the Twitch streamer Tim, dies tragically in a boat accident on the day of March 14th, 2021. We're going to take a brief moment of silence to commemorate Tim, the Twitchy Twitch streamer. Moment of silence over. So anyway, they capture Ronin, which he makes sure to remark he would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those pesky screenwriters. We see Clutch very briefly trying to mess everything up. They stop him. They have a nice bionicle moment looking at the sunrise, sunset, whatever it is on the beach. And then the episode ends as we see a giant underwater snake lizard thing taking a nap. And that's the island.
Holy mackerel.
LJ, have you ever considered a career in voice acting?
I've dabbled once or twice. It's crossed my desk every so often.
All right, cool.
So
Good.
All right. While you were doing that, I was also busy on my end.
Okay.
I have, ladies and gentlemen, once it loads, Twitch stream.
Yeah, I gotta put this up.
Yes!
Is that far?
No, it's a random picture off of freaking YouTube.
Dude.
So there you go. Oh, I guess not YouTube, but Google,
I would watch
yeah.
his streams.
Hey everyone!
Maybe he could be funny
Today
in them.
we're gonna go ahead and play Among Us. Hey everyone! Today.
Twitchy Tim playing Danganronpa.
Shut up!
Forgetting who the murderers are.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Well, yeah, that was a really good recap. You
Thank
pretty
you,
much
Aldrin.
nailed everything.
Thank you. I tried.
Indeed, you did, and you succeeded.
Happy face.
So, where do we even begin? Because there's so many ways we can take this. Because we can divide the island. Because the way that we watched it, the first 2 episodes 1 week, and then the next week we watched the last 2 episodes. The majority of the Ninjago fandom who found out that it came out in French watched the entire thing in one go, and they had either they didn't know what they were watching dialogue wise, or Ulti with a big brain moment had closed captioning, just translated as it came out, that's really smart. So
Yes.
we have different ways of how we watched it, which probably results in different ways of how we think of it. I know Sakota went back and rewatched the entire thing from start to finish, but it's a very interesting special.
What I want to say before we actually talk anything about the content, I want to set expectations for how to frame it, because I see a lot of people, they're disappointed that, why are we only getting 4 episodes? And I'm there with you. I think it's a bit of a bummer that we're only getting 4 episodes. Because it's only 4 episodes, and because as we discussed at the start, we're not counting this as season 14. I think it's important to frame discussion of it not in a way that would compare it necessarily to other seasons. So what do I mean by that? I'm notoriously critical. Spoiler alert, I'm going to be here too. Big whoop. But being critical within context. This, in my mind, can only be directly compared, quality-wise, to the pilots, Day of the Departed, and if you're stretching it, March of the Oni. But technically, I'd consider that also unfair because it has double the amount of runtime. So just know that going in, you have to kind of give this a little bit of a break because it can only do so much in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
That being said, as far as where to start, it was funny.
It was very funny. Well, even then, it's one of those. I think. How do we say this? There are 2 very different tones that the island presented. One tone was in the first 2 episodes, and one tone was in the next 2 episodes, and it's very different.
Yeah. Second 2 are the funny ones, by the way. That's what I'm mentioning.
Well, I mean, they're both funny, but the second one has more time to allow for jokes. The first one felt like you had to put in jokes. The second one just felt like it was natural.
I'm glad I got my reaction on recording because I might go back and rewatch. Don't quote old me on this. I think I laughed maybe once during the first 2 episodes. I was just deadpan throughout.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 really banged on like Twitchy Tim as like to deliver the humor, and the second 2 they had more like of the ninja interactions.
The second
and
2
had
were
some
great.
really good dialogue lines in there.
I think my favorite bit is like Jay's getting carted off, and Kai's like, "Who would want Jay?" And he was like, me." And she has this like annoyed look on her face.
Like Jay in general was really good in the second half with the whole the gift of Jay thing, and he had like really expressive faces and really funny voice lines and different inflections in his voice. That was really cool.
The voice acting in general for this this special was really, really good. I gotta give a shout out to Vincent Tong for Kai, because there's so many amazing lines that he delivered. My favorite is, "You're gonna see the inside of a jail cell, Ronin."
Oh boy.
It was so great. You could tell that he definitely put a little bit more spice in his usual delivery for Kai. But
voice acting was very good.
One thing that we didn't mention for the first, or for humor for the first 2, is Coconut.
Coconut?
Coconut? Yeah.
It was
it's the new ship. Come on. You don't know about Coconut?
Oh my gosh.
It was a joke, that's for sure.
I think the whole cold food thing felt a bit weird coming like right after Master of the Mountain, like
it was
going
like,
back to cold.
What do we do now that we established him as a character? Have Jay, or whoever it was, Kai or Jay, literally say, "Ugh, is that all you can think about is food?" The dialogue it reminded me of, what was it? "Unagami is Milton Dyer." It was like that caliber of like.
I don't know. I don't think it was like that. It just reminded me a lot of like Tournaments of Elements Cole, where he was like all about eating all the time.
Yeah.
Like, all right, now that I've had a season about myself, time to resort back to food.
To the cliches.
But it was still funny.
It had some good visual gags. It was amusing.
So
I like the one with the poisoned berries. That was funny.
But humor wise, it was very strong. Story wise,
that's a can of worms. I don't know, like. I don't know if I fully want to unpack that yet. Maybe. So here's something to get out of the way. This is almost assuredly pure setup. I think it's fair to say that.
hopefully.
I don't think we're done based on the ending stinger.
Yeah.
I don't think we're done with Wojira.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Unfortunately, what that leaves is not a lot in the way of any substance to discuss. Like it was to the point where after the first 2 episodes, we're like, okay, time to do an NINJAGOcast. And I was just like, if we did an NINJAGOcast on these first 2 episodes, I don't think I would literally have anything to say other than like complaints. So I just kind of want to not do them and just wait until we get more. And I'm glad, because now that we have the other 2, there's definitely more to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, what it really boils down to for me is the first Spinjitzu master tasked them with protecting the amulet. That's, I think, the most important, interesting thing to discuss is the backstory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what that might mean for the world.
Yeah, what it might mean for Ninjago and its
You
history.
had an interesting observation about that. I don't know if you want to get into it now. But,
we get into it now. I guess we can talk a bit, because that I think you picked out probably the most important line of the entire special.
I did.
Was the fact that the first Spinjitzu master. This is it's not a one and done sort of thing. This is ancient history of Ninjago.
Yeah.
The first Spinjitzu
Yeah.
master had his hand in what causes the waters to act in Ninjago. And I think we all sort of know what this is referring to. When the first Spinjitzu master, created Ninjago, he said you use the 4 weapons of Spinjitzu and whatnot. But we also know that the Island of Darkness rose from the water for some reason. So it hints at the fact that, there was some sort of thing to do with water, that, the world can rise and fall out of the ocean and whatnot. And then we get the really interesting nugget from the island in which if the amulets were to reunite, then the oceans would rise to take over Ninjago. So we think, wait a second. So you're telling me that the first Spinjitzu master separated the amulets and it caused Ninjago to form on its own? Because that's a pretty big deal.
Or in other words, he didn't actually create anything.
He didn't.
He
yeah.
just uncovered the land that was already underneath.
Mm-hmm. By base, we don't even know what the amulet, like, if Wohira is a good creature or a bad creature. If Wohira is a bad creature, then he saved, the world, I guess. If Wohira is a good creature, then he took away the power of the sea serpent, and she is just forever sleeping because she's not going to get back to her full strength. So I put out a tweet a couple months ago before the island even came out, and I said, what if the first Spinjitzu master was a morally great character? And this is the first kind of like, ooh, wait a second. So the story that we've always heard could be wrong.
I would be very, very, very interested in that being the case. And if they want to go down this route, let the record show I am 1,000,000% down for it. I love the angle in stories where the mythologies are wrong and the people who you like revere as like these great people who did all this stuff. Yeah, they maybe did all that stuff, but they probably had their own reasons or their own angles. Some of them may be good, some of them maybe not so much, and it might make them more interesting people. I don't know what they could do with it, considering FSM is dead. But who knows? There could be something.
It's interesting to the fact that Ninjago could have the biased narrative where the only story we've ever heard of how Ninjago was created was by Master Wu.
Yeah.
And
who idolizes
his dad. Yeah. And also Mistake, who's told us a bit about the first realm. We don't really know much else. But we just take it as truth because it's just world building. So it's one of those, okay. I like how it, and what I love so much about the island is they just said it and then they didn't even like continue off of it. It was just a drop and we're just like, oh, wait, what did you say? That was big. Like that was a really big thing. But of course the ninja couldn't go down that path yet because their friend was just eaten by something. They didn't know. So it was one of those like, it makes sense why the ninja didn't like, okay, wait a second, what did you say about the first Spinjitzu master? Because that's not true
about it, but that was it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's really interesting and I like it, and it's one of the few things that I can look at the island itself and be like, okay, cool, this was a thing that the island revealed that's actually interesting, that like affects the world and could lead to something in the future, maybe. Yeah, it's interesting.
It also seemed like Wu didn't know about it, which I really like, because it's not another case of Wu hiding some kind of backstory secrets. That he's genuinely surprised by that. So
yeah, I'm done with the Wu hides things shtick.
Now it's Wu's dad hides things. Like
God.
Father, like son. So I think that would be even more interesting. This is something that the first Spinjitzu master didn't tell Wu. And so Wu's like, really? You're not going to tell me how you created Ninjago?
Yeah.
So it's super interesting. So what are your thoughts on this, LJ?
I think it is interesting. I'd like to see more of it. I have zero qualms with the angle that the first Spinjitzu master is not actually a benevolent presence in the Ninjago mythos. What
yeah.
I'm most curious about is how we get to that revelation. Because if this is all true, Wohira is asleep. We know that certifiably. We know she exists. We've seen her now. We know there are 2 amulets. We know that they are separated. Like, Wohira is not going to start telling the ninja about this stuff, right?
No.
No.
If anything, if Wohira wakes up, she's gonna be pissed off.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So I'm curious how we get to that point, like who cataloged that, and what it means going forward. Because we've gotten a little bit of a teaser for next season, the proper season, and I'm excited to see where that leads. So Lego Themes have not really done stuff like this before, necessarily, at least not to the degree that it is being suspected here. So I'm excited. If they can pull it off, fantastic. I need to temper my expectations.
You're excited to see what happens, huh?
Hey, I'm a pirate. It's my favorite letter of the alphabet.
R.
I have a love for the sea.
No, Ulti's right. The pirate's favorite letter is R.
No,
Come on.
no. Fine.
Here's how we can do it. Ulti, you're the special guest. What do you think of
Hello.
this? What do you think of the special?
You guys are still doing.
I'm sorry.
I thought it was good. I like it a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, so Ulti, you saw it in French first. So tell us a bit about that
Yes.
experience.
Tell us about the French that
It's,
you definitely understood.
Tell us about
Yes.
the true piracy that you did.
As someone who
Please
barely
tell us in
passed
French.
GCSE French, I'm quite familiar with French. So it's really weird watching it. So watching it as the episodes, I was like, oh, wow. In the special, it flows really seamlessly. And as episodes, there were points where I was like, I don't know where it's going to end, because it definitely works better as a special, I think.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
you mentioned something while you're talking about it, which was the first 2 episodes have a different tone to the second 2. And I think that's because it's meant to be a special and the tone's sort of supposed to shift over the course of the special.
Yeah.
But it's like... Anyway, the main thing that I took away from the French version and the English version is there's a line in episode 4 that Zane has, and in the English version, for some reason, he doesn't have the robotic thing over it, so it's just Brent Miller is suddenly there. And I was like,
Interesting.
whoa. That was the main thing that caught me off.
Huh.
Huh.
But I really liked the island. I'm not sure if any of you were like really closely following the theories before, but everyone's like, "Oh well, Jay's dead."
I tried to
Tragic.
avoid following theories because they give me a migraine.
Yeah, it's been an interesting month for theories. You had this, and you had WandaVision.
One division.
Yeah. But anyway, everyone was like, "Oh, this season's gonna be really dark. Oh, Jay's gonna get taken away, and we're not gonna know who he's not gonna come back until the full season." And
Yeah,
it turns out actually, Ronin's there, and he's twiddling his cartoon mustache, and laughing evilly, shaking hands with Megatron and Cobra Commander.
Indeed, yes.
I think that's what everyone is waiting for us to talk about. One guy, the legend, the person we've been saying where is he for the past like 3 to 4 years has returned. Ladies and gentlemen, it was Ronin all along.
Right.
So
Before I get impaled through like the heart, I really like this. It's a good direction for Ronin. It makes total sense. He's been morally dubious for years, And it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Ulti.
See,
Ulti. Ulti.
That was so great.
I want to see.
I can smell your fear, Ulti.
I want to see what Messo's take on this all
Yeah.
is, because
Well, let's
I know.
I am
go first.
the number one Ronin shill in the world.
Do you have
if I could
Ronin's
have, like-
Rex?
So
Yeah,
anyway,
any
as
Ronin
as
set.
a Ronin shill.
Any Ronin set?
So anyway, I'll as the number one Ronin fan who doesn't buy Ninjago sets much.
I'm sorry. What was that? Ninjago City, Ninjago City Docks, Ninjago City
fair.
Gardens.
Fair. I do actually have Ronin in that.
I'm setting the stage for the inevitable downfall of this argument, so continue and make it.
See, here's the thing. I've been wanting Ronin back for years. Ronin's my favorite character. He's very cool. I think that over time, enough time has passed, especially being the fact that Braggy Shoot has never actually written Ronin yet. I think they kind of forgot like who he was and what his role he had with people was. And one of the things that bugs me about it, it's not actually the fact that he's a bad guy or that he's like stealing stuff. It's a line that Lloyd says at the very beginning, which is recontextualized now that we know the end. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's Ronin. The police commissioner hired him to clean up all the bad guys on the streets. Man, I really wish the police commissioner would work with a bounty hunter like Ronin." And he says it like disgusted under his breath. Like, I can't believe the police commissioner would actually work with that scum. And I'm like, dude, Ronin was your friend.
Actually, it's funny you say that. Was he Lloyd's friend? Has Lloyd and Ronin ever worked together?
I don't recall him ever hating him.
They never did.
Well,
The only-
I also
because
want to add
Lloyd's
something
asleep.
to that because, like, we have to consider something in universe because for most characters, Skybound never happened, and Skybound had a lot of Ronin like
Yes.
content and had a lot of Ronin character development. But if that never happened, I can see it a lot more that Ronin is like this in the island than like before.
I don't think it had any Ronin character development, but it did have a
Well,
lot of
he helped
Ronin
out
focus.
Jay in the end, and
He helped out Jay in
Pretty
the
much for
end, but he
free.
also like
he locked
when
up the ninja and then realized
Yeah.
it was a mistake. So
So what I'm getting at more or less is it's about ratios. I think my problem is does it make sense that Ronin would steal stuff? Totally. Does it make sense that he's like a criminal? Yes. That was always kind of his charm. He was like he would do the right thing when it was needed, but he would mostly he'd be in it for himself. I was thinking of it. He's the Han Solo type.
Yeah.
He's like Ninjago's Han Solo. But it's about ratios. So let me walk you through Ronin's history on Ninjago very briefly. And we're going to do counters. All right? He's introduced as a bad guy. He's a villain. He's like working with the ghosts. Bad dude.
You're still
Right.
missing the first introduction of Ronin.
Shadow of Ronin. It's semi-canon. He's a bad dude. So
He's
two.
a bad dude, yeah. He's
Shadow
the
of
main
Ronin.
villain of that game.
But it's also non-canon.
Semi-canon. The Ninja reference
gets mentioned, kind of.
Yeah,
It's
the reference in the
ambiguous.
show. Yeah,
1.5.
yeah.
By the end of the Ghost season, he's a good guy and he helps them stop the preeminent because he has a change of heart. So that's 1.5 to 1. In Skybound, yeah, he locks up the ninja. Go on.
You forgot about Day of the Departed.
Yep.
Day of the
I
Departed.
wanted to bring that up.
He helps
Day
Jay.
Departed is after Skybound.
Not in your song thing.
Oh.
No, okay,
yeah.
okay. If we're gonna talk about the song, I put Day to Part after Hands of Time. That's because the beat per second for each song.
Well,
It's
okay,
so
I'll
rapid
double
and that
wrong.
one is slow, so I put that one last.
This is a disaster.
We're not talking about the song. We're gonna talk about Ronin. We're talking about Ronin here. Continue, because I cannot wait to completely.
I'll include it just for the sake of including it. Day of the Departed. He helps Jay. He helps, he comes in to save Jay from Samakai.
Objection.
So,
Double
sure.
Objection. That's incorrect.
0.5 to 2.
It's to
What?
Jay's parents.
He went to the junkyard to steal stuff from his parents, and because
His
he
full
was there,
intention is to rob them.
But ends up helping them.
but ends up helping them.
They give it to him for free.
2.5 to 2. Skybound. Yeah, he works against the ninja. That could be construed as a bad act. But the ninja were criminals at this point.
He works.
So he was working for the police commissioner.
For money.
2.5 to 3. End of Skybound helps Jay. 2.5 to 4. Hands of Time. He's helping clean up the
Objection.
Temple of Jitsu.
You forgot. You forgot about the Dark Island trilogy.
Actually,
You forgot about the Dark Island trilogy.
Even going to listen to me. Why am I on a podcast?
I'm listening to you. I'm helping you.
Your mouth
You forgot
and
about the
let
Dark Island
me
trilogy.
finish what I am saying.
Okay.
Please.
LJB like during his recaps whenever Messa interrupts.
Anyway. Hands of Time. He's helping clean out the temple. 2.5 to 5. Hands of Time helps Dareth fighting off the Stone Army Warriors. 2.5 to 6. Hunted. He's a refugee and then he gets imprisoned and then he's helping fight against the Sons of Garmadon. 2.5 to 7. Dark Island. What did he do in that book? He got captured, right?
He was
He was working with Misako for
He
money.
was with Misako? Cool. For money, working with Misako. 2.5 to 8.
And then abandoned her and lived on his own and not even attempted to go and save
The
her.
ratio of Ronin to good to bad in Ninjago is about 3 times in favor of good.
Can I do my objection now?
Yes.
Good.
Did you read Way of the Departed, the latest chapter?
So the non-canon thing that Tommy
The
refuses to
non-canon thing
canonize,
that explains a lot of things.
which is exactly
Because-
why it's frustrating, but go on.
Because Ronin's in there, and we get some more like background information about him, and some stuff that might motivate him in the future to maybe be a bit more criminal again.
Okay.
Well, I have an objection to all of this.
Okay.
And here-
I do
and
too,
here-
but I can wait.
Here's what I have to say about Ronin. Ronin's first introduction to Ninjago was as a villain. We met him in Shadow of Ronin. He captured Zane and brought him to Master Chen for money. And then he tried to work with Chen in one other reason. He also stole the scroll and tried to swindle the ninja out of money for it. And then it ended up helping them because he literally lost his shop and he needed money, blah, blah, blah. But our first introduction to Ronin in Ninjago is as a villain. We last saw him in March of the Oni. He didn't do anything. He just stood in the background. He was just like, I'm here when they were all celebrating and whatnot. And we haven't seen him since. We had a soft reboot of Ninjago. We have technically a new audience, so if they want to introduce characters that haven't appeared since March of the Oni or beyond that, they have to literally reintroduce the character. So, if they wanted to treat Ronin right, you have to reintroduce Ronin as a villain before you bring him back as an ally. Because that's the way that Ronin acts in the show. So all the new fans will see, oh, Ronin's a bad guy. He's swindling this. He's a con artist, blah, blah, blah. He's now on the island, and they can definitely ally with him in the next season. But we already have this, he's already reestablished as a villain before they can bring him back as an ally, which is what it's been for Ninjago. That's why I think it's so smart that he is the villain of this, so that we get that status quo back for Ronin instead of just all of a sudden he reappears and it's like, oh, it's Ronin. Good to have you back, bud. So that's why
you understand what a soft reboot is. If Ninjago ever did a soft reboot and we skip forward 20 years and we have adult ninja, would you want Kai to act just like he did in the pilots? To reintroduce him as the cocky hothead to the audience? Or would you view that as regression?
What I'm saying is we haven't seen him in so long that they had to sort of reintroduce him. The ninja we see every single season. Master Wu we see every single season. Misaka we see almost every single season.
Green Tornado. Would you want Lloyd to be evil? Well, let's not get carried away. It's like it's an edge case.
Hold on.
No, okay, hold
Haley,
on.
Haley made a pretty good point there.
If we were to reintroduce Pythor would be a villain before he would ever even consider allying or not allying, because he was originally a villain.
All of this presupposes the notion that Ronin will be important later on.
Yes.
If Ronin comes back and is important later on, I will publicly apologize for my opinion on this.
Which is my second half of this.
But based on his Scooby-Doo style Flanderization, I don't think we'll be seeing Ronin again for a while.
Well,
they have the model of him now.
So that's what I remember saying that when we were watching the reaction, that they modeled Ronin. When I saw him on the screen, I was like, oh my gosh, Ronin's in the show now. It's a really big deal. New animation company, basically, for those who don't know what we're talking about, it's a completely new animation company. So they have to reanimate everything. Like they can't just be like, let's go back to the toxic bogs, because the toxic bogs literally don't exist. They have to reanimate everything, including characters, which is reasons why we haven't seen like Pythor or
Pythor.
Skylar. We haven't seen Skylar. Elemental Masters. We haven't seen these people because their minifigures don't exist yet. They animated Ronin and they brought him back. And he's currently on the island, which is where I would imagine they're going to start in Seabound. He is still there. They didn't ship him off. So my guess is if they brought Ronin back, that Ronin is going to have maybe not a pivotal role, but he's going to have an important role in Seabound.
Ronin Redemption arc.
I do not think there is a snowball's chance in Karzani that we see Ronin in Seabound. But I pray that you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a person who has wanted this character back for years, to say I was less than pleased would be an understatement. Yeah.
I know AJ and I were talking, and one thing that that AJ realized is that Ronin was really important, or he had a lot to say with Nia when she was getting her powers.
That was exactly why I was very let down by this.
Yeah, in possession. So if something's going to happen to Nia, it's smart that they would reintroduce Ronin, because Nia and Ronin have history when it comes to her elemental powers. So I don't know if he's going to have anything to do with that. I just really, really hope, and I will probably eat my words if this doesn't happen. 90% positive that Ronin's going to have something to do in the next season. And that's why they introduced him here, and that's why they introduced him as a villain, so they can reestablish his connection to the team, so that when he comes back with an ally...
Is Ronin going to be the aerospace engineer of this podcast? Is that what this is going to become?
Might be. I just hope
he's in
back
prison. They're going to ship him to Cryptarium. Like, there's no...
Not if they start
for long.
Not if they start immediately where they left off, because he's still there. We don't know what's going to happen in Seabound. For all we know, literally, like they're about to leave with Ronin, and then something happens to Nia.
I'd like to point out that the whole plot of this episode was that Cryptarium Prison was really easy to get out of.
Yeah, unless Ronin broke them out himself.
And also, I want to say, like, even though Ronin was the main villain of this special, the stakes in this special really weren't that high. He was pretty much
low,
just stealing a bit of stuff and
very
some
low
prisoners. That's totally something I can see Ronin do even after his supposed redemption arc. So I don't.
It was more the outright derision. It was the derision that everybody expressed and the way he talked that I think bugged me.
Yeah,
Lloyd's line and the dialogue was very. It was very Scooby-Doo villain, and I mean they clearly embraced that because they made a direct reference to it.
Yeah.
I think. All right. So this is something no one's mentioned, right? Ronin, he's the villain of the piece, but he's not actually an enemy of the ninja in the special. What he's doing is, he's taking advantage of the situation he's got. where he's like, okay, they want me to round up all these prisoners. All right, that's fine. I got a merry band now. And there's this island full of blokes who've got a lot of money. I'm gonna go over there with my gang and get all this money. He has no idea the ninja are gonna show up.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is he's not like, I'm doing this to I'm raising funds to blow up the monastery.
He's
doing
buying
it.
all the bench stone with it.
Oh god.
That was another thing. There are the bars that Cole couldn't break. Makes you think.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god.
So I just
Well, here is the Vengestone buyer.
The rabbit hole.
holy smokes. So I just
Was here all along.
wow.
Yes,
Like
Hang on.
Ronin's an anti-hero, guys. Like, he's not a good guy, he's not a bad guy, he's squarely in between, and he's always been that way. Like, you can have a good character, not necessarily always be one or the other. I get why some people might be disappointed seeing Ronin in this capacity. I thought that the line he delivered about, and I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you, Ninja, and your pesky friends, was the worst line in the special. I hated that line. I genuinely did not like that line.
It's a cool reference.
I didn't like it. I
He's
thought
just salty that the two-headed person say.
Would you have liked it?
it?
Would you have liked it more if he'd been like, oh, and thank the Great Spirit that no one got hurt?
yes,
I would
yes,
have
100%,
yes.
100%.
You're probably
Absolutely. No, I definitely didn't like that line. I'm glad that the two-headed line wasn't in there. Two heads are better than one. But I feel like I almost feel baited because I thought that was a goofy line that wouldn't have been good for the show. And then it didn't happen. I'm like, oh, great. But then another goofy line that I didn't think was really good for the show happened. And it's like, okay, awesome. I just felt like, I don't know, it was too on the nose. It was too, I guess meta might be the way to put it. I didn't like it. It felt out of place. Especially coming from Ronin. That was a ridiculous thing for him to say.
I reluctantly agree. That's something that Ronin wouldn't say.
Yeah, like the
Unless
line.
he was like joking, like he was being like petty. He knew he was gonna get caught, and he had
Yeah.
his like legs, put up, and he's like, I would have got away with the two. If it wasn't for you, Ninja. And your
The reason I
friends."
liked Ronin was because of his snappy dialogue.
And
That was
see,
the only
that's-
reason he was my favorite.
The line can be fixed. The line can be totally fixed. What do you want me to say? I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you, Ninja, and your meddling friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sarcastic.
The smile on his face, yeah.
It's a dry humor. It's a dry, sarcastic remark. But it's played straight in this, and I didn't like that, especially coming from him.
Now,
That
there
was my big
is a
issue.
There is a new vocal. Oh my goodness, what's
Inflection.
The name? No,
Direction? Direction?
no, vocal director. There's a new vocal director for
It
Ninjago.
sounded
Oh.
different, so yeah.
No, I mean,
So-
yeah, I can tell,
Maybe
but that
part of
doesn't...
that is that they did
But-
the vocal
but-
direction
but-
for Ronin a little different.
no,
but-
the delivery wasn't the issue. The line was the
It's
issue.
the line.
The delivery, like, all the voice acting in this special was great. It was perfectly fine. That was not the
It's
problem.
a writing problem.
yeah.
It's just like the cool food thing.
Okay.
Very on the nose.
Well, like I said, you can take the same line and deliver it a different way. Like we
I-
were saying, if you take the exact same line that he said, but you give it with a little
He
smirk
added
on
a
it.
bit.
But no, I
Yeah.
added to the line, which changed its
Yeah.
Well,
it
I
changed
don't
it
think
because
you don't even have to add to it. You can just say the line.
you need
differently.
yes, you 100% you need to add to it. You need to add to it. That's that is my whole issue because the line Ronin uses is I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you, Ninja, and your meddling friends.
Well, I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for your ninja. And
Yeah,
your-
no,
doesn't work.
it doesn't. It doesn't. No, the problem is the line because it's dialogue. Ronin does not comfortably jive with. That's the problem. If you change it to "What do you want me to say?" You know, if you add that to the beginning, You have a reference, which is referential to what you want to reference, but it's also in character because it's not something Ronin would say that Ronin is poking fun at. It meets all of the requirements.
I agree. First of all, I agree wholeheartedly. Second of all, the reason it's important is because Ronin's character, he's not just a thief. He's a dude who's like, he's
a
very
swindler.
competent.
He's a swindler.
He's a swindler. His biggest skill is his ability to talk himself out of any situation, but he's also incredibly competent. He was able to go after and capture all of the ninja despite having no powers, using just his skill and his wit and his words. He's even when he's losing, you always feel like he's in control of the situation. Turning him into, I mean, I could believe that line coming from Fujidove.
Yes, absolutely.
I digress.
I have a question for all of you, because they did the thing where Lloyd was like, haha, it's a criminal using tech to get money, and then I thought it was the mechanic. Would you guys have preferred it if it was the mechanic and not Ronin?
No.
That depends on what happens in Seabound.
Because the mechanic... okay, so I know that everyone's like, oh, it being Ronin, he's reduced to a throwaway villain. If you have the mechanic, he becomes an actual throwaway villain.
Correct.
True.
With Ronin, there's like some degree of, oh, okay, well, maybe he'll come back. Maybe if it was the mechanic, like, right, well, this stands here then, because the mechanic, he does nothing.
As far as I am concerned, Tommy Hendricks and LJ is right. I'm sorry. That's a quote. That's a quote for the ages.
Thank you.
That's so great.
First of all, thank you for joining us. Secondly, thank you for that.
He's gonna frame that one.
I'm gonna go and print that out on like a little.
Through a door again.
This is gonna be it's gonna be a bumper sticker on my truck. It's like, there we go. Yeah, perfect.
Oh my gosh, can you please? That would be so funny.
I'll consider it. But
To answer your question,
continue.
if Ronin does not factor into Seabound, and if Ronin is benched again, it's tough. I can say I would have preferred the mechanic, but that's only because I'm a Ronin fan who doesn't want to see who wants to see him matter more.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I never want to see the mechanic again in anything but a background role.
See,
Achieving his goal and bringing Unagami back after the entire season and then running in terror has effectively destroyed that character for me, and I hope he never darkens the doors of the street again, except a cameo or a background role. I'm dead serious. I'm not exaggerating.
I love that
really
line. You better not
disappointed with-
darken the streets again. That was so great.
I'm not
That's
joking.
like a Fujidove line.
It does. He can like create terror or whatnot. But if the clouds change enough because of something the mechanic does, I don't want to see it.
For real, I'm not joking. He's a joke. So no, I would not have necessarily. I think it would have worked for the mechanic, but of course I'm going to say I prefer it to be Ronin because I mean Ronin's cool. Ronin's awesome.
Yeah.
But if this is all Ronin is, he's going to become mechanic level, and then you're going to see me in a year from now cursing their name.
If
Well, think
they
about
make
it like
Ronin
this,
mechanic level, then it'll be very depressing. So
Is Ronin not already mechanic level?
no.
No,
Functionally, now he is, but that's only because it's been 4 years since he was relevant.
Yeah.
Back then, I would have actually considered Ronin like, I wouldn't necessarily say main character, but definitely in like the primary, supporting cast. He was a
like,
fixture in
pixel
possession.
level.
He was pixel level. Pixel or Skylar, more pixel than Skylar. But now, yes.
He had such a unique character. I loved whenever Ronin graced the screen because he had his way of like, he's always sarcastic, he always had his own sort of like, mindset. And his relationship, I say relationship, that's a dangerous word. His interactions with Nia was always especially really interesting, especially in Possession, and how he always referred to her. So like when he was talking to the police chief in Skybound, he's like, "Can you catch all 5 of them?" And he was like, "Well, there's 6 of them now, and the last one is the hardest one to get." Like they respect each other pretty well.
Great dynamic. Oh,
Yeah.
I love those.
It was so great, and I loved Ronin, and it, yeah.
It's,
So I want that to return. I don't mind, Ronan be like, "Well, I got all this cash, and if they're gonna start, sending me people, then I guess I cleared them out. So I'm out of here." Like
that's what I want to clarify most of all.
Yeah.
I don't hate this. I just hate it if this is all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Basically, that's all.
Galarian at season 14. You better deliver. Dang it! I want it postman level.
There is a possibility we haven't yet considered.
Go on, Ulti.
Is Ronin there just to sell toys?
I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna go with no.
Well, he was. Yes, he was actually.
He was.
But the mechanic wasn't the same set.
He was in the same set.
Yeah,
Ninjago
what I'm getting at more is Ronin's inclusion as special at all because he is there to sell city gardens? Like,
I don't
think
think there's a strong enough correlation because City Gardens is so far removed from the island. That is the sole thing. That's the sole thing they have in common. Is Ronin's
It does come from the minifigure to a point. I think the fact that Ronin is in a set that's currently on shelves with a new updated, not a movie design, but a post-movie redesign, I do think was their excuse for putting an updated version of him in the engine. But I don't think it was there to necessarily sell gardens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how they got him in there. They said, let's put Ronin in Ninjago City Gardens, and since we're putting his minifigure in a new set, we can introduce him or put him back in the show.
Yeah, Wolk points out that the island didn't use the updated Misako, however, and that is a good point. She was also in that set. The only explanation I can give for that is that she hasn't, number one, been gone nearly as long, and number two, briefly showed up last season.
Yeah.
So they already had that.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Okay.
Tommy just said, I didn't actually know Ronin was in City Gardens.
Damn, I'm here for one episode and Tommy Andreas is making me look bad.
You've done that to yourself. No, I'm kidding.
I can see it now. I'm the new community punching bag.
Yes, finally.
I'll be the villain in the next special. I'll be twiddling my mustache as I run away from the ninja.
I really wish we had that ulti character development like we used to have.
Man, I mean, they really fumbled his arc in. Like, what were they doing, man? Come on.
But no, I think...
I mean, the yellow ninja, who'd believe that?
I do not believe that Ronin's inclusion here is necessarily bad. But I do definitely think that how he was handled at the very end was. That was the misappropriation of this entire thing. So... I think I understand why Meso desires more out of Ronin. I think you can have deep characters play supporting roles.
So
What's up?
Just what Tommy was saying, that when they wrote the island, he did not know that Ronin was in Ninjago City Gardens.
Oh, okay.
So.
Got it, yeah. But you can have, like, deep characters play supporting roles. You know? It's totally possible. They don't have to be deep characters all the time. Like, I wasn't expecting Ronin to be here and be like, hey, Ninja, so, the other day I was kind of just contemplating existence and morality and, whether or not there's an objective right or wrong and, whether or not my actions here on this island are just and reasonable from an outsider's perspective, and I really wanted to engage with you in kind of a psychological conversation. It's like,
and I don't expect that either.
He can just be a guy doing things.
my best comparison for number one, what I would want for Ronin, and then number two, what I would not want for Ronin. Because you mentioned soft reboots earlier, and I compared him to Han Solo, so let's compare him to Han Solo in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Han Solo comes back, he's a smuggler. So they reintroduce him as a smuggler, just like you said. They reintroduce him and he's a smuggler. But then Rey and Finn tell him their mission. He doesn't not want to help. He doesn't run from the call of duty. He's like, okay, I'll help you. Because this is about Luke. This is about my friend Luke. So I'm going to help you do it.
Yeah.
It was still the same character, but he kept his development and he helped him. But moving on to what I don't want to see, Han Solo died that same movie and wasn't relevant anymore.
Wait a second.
Spoilers. So, he died basically immediately after that.
So yeah,
Like,
a lot of what we're saying and a lot of what we think of Ronin is we want more of him. We want more of him immediately, and we want a lot of him.
if anything, if you take anything from this, Braggy, and also Tommy, since you're directly listening, the wellspring of discussion this has brought up in the fandom, people like Ronin. He's fun. That's it. I actually don't even mind. I don't mind if he came back and was, more of a villain or became a recurring force, so long as he shows up. Him getting stuck in prison at the end in what basically equated to not that significant of a special, really, because it's just set up. That's what adds to the feeling of disappointment. I don't necessarily care what he's doing. Like I said, Ronin's a competent person. He's competent enough to take on all the ninja using just his skill set. If they wanted to go full, I haven't read Way of the Departed to know why he's a criminal and setting him up for more criminal things. He could be a full-on villain if they wanted to take him in that direction. I'd have some issues, but he could handle it. He's a cool character. Do more with him.
Yeah.
But what about the others from the island?
Yeah, I think we should move on. I think we should move on to the very important discussion that we joked around the whole thing. We should be worried about Jay. Should we be worried about Jay? We should be worried about Jay. And then we got to the moment of the episode where he literally got captured, and we're like, oh, we should have been worried about Jay.
Told you guys.
And we thought it was over. But Tommy has just said in the chat, we should be worried about Jay.
Funny. Here's the thing. I was never once worried about Jay.
Yeah, honestly, same.
I was never. I never believed. Oh, Jay's gonna be kidnapped and set up this season-long arc of we must save Jay, setting up Nia's deep character motivation because she doesn't want him to die, and Jay's gonna die. Nobody's gonna die ever. Stop it.
Who would believe a story like that?
all the people fearing for his life and freaking out. He was never gonna die. He was never gonna die in a 40-minute special. It's gonna be fun.
I didn't even know that was a theory. I was like, wait, there's an actual theory that Jay was gonna die or get captured permanently?
No, so the theory was that he gets captured, which is what happens, but he doesn't come back until next season.
That would have been interesting. But I'm glad that
the overall plot we got. But
on the one hand, I liked it as an idea. I was like, oh wow, that's pretty heavy. I liked that it wasn't heavy.
Yeah, I like that it was kind of goofy and fun, and just it was positioning for the ninja. I think them being there is going to be very important, but it was just a one-off, and it was fun.
See, I think I agree more than I don't. I don't think every Ninjago thing needs to be super grimdark. I think that's a common misconception when people say they want deep stories. Deep doesn't always mean super dark and edgy, where everyone needs to be on the precipice of death the whole time. Ninjago is ultimately a fun show, and I think it's fine to have fun stuff like that. Problem is with the fun stuff like that is it can amount to no stakes, and unfortunately I think this special definitely had the no stakes syndrome. I don't even mean in terms of character death. I just mean like the keepers weren't a threat at all.
Yeah.
They poked them with sticks. They weren't bad people. And the moment the ninja actually tried to fight back against them, they won.
The
Yeah.
criminals also
too.
weren't like a threat at all.
And the
So,
criminals
Yeah.
were pushovers. So like, I liked that it was fun loving, but ultimately
There,
the keepers aren't ever gonna rank on my like, oh, Ninjago villains, because number one,
Yeah.
they're not villains, and they also
Yeah,
weren't a
they're
threat.
cool
Yeah.
dudes.
there was one line that I think really when it actually got deep. When it got to the moment where like, oh my gosh, like Jay was just captured, and the ninja, like some of them think that he's like gone, and then they're talking to the keepers, and the keepers finally spill the beans of what happened.
Mhm.
And Chief
Yeah.
Mamata said that we were supposed to, at all costs, not some costs, at all costs. And Kai said, giving up Jay cost you nothing, but it could have cost Jay everything. And I was like, whoa, that was a deep line.
It was.
Like it
Really
literally, like he
That was
called out
heavy.
the entire like all the islanders, who's like that
Yeah.
you literally just grabbed a random dude who has elemental powers for lightning and you just shipped him off and said, there you go. But it was like that meant nothing to you. You don't even know who that person is. But for him and for us, it was like it was everything. So it was one of those like, ooh, okay, I like that. That was a good deep line, which leads me to the point where we don't need to talk about, is a ninja going to die? And that's what leads to deep stuff in Ninjago. Emotional, stuff that could happen that's deep can happen emotionally with characters, not about death. And that's what I think Ninjago is so good about. And I'm hoping that's what's going to happen in the next season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think there's a
also
problem with the
think
lighthearted thing.
it might be a smart move for a 40-minute special not to put out like the super highest stakes, the strongest villains we've ever seen, like the Oni
agree.
and Markov the Oni. I
Because then
think
you just waste them.
suffered a lot from the short runtime, even though they should be extremely powerful. So I think it makes sense to tell a story like this in a special.
I agree with a caveat, but I'll bring it up later when I talk about it. Overall, I think you're mostly right. Because then if you just end up wasting
Yeah.
threats or story points that could be given more time to shine. So I think the idea of the island is fine.
Yeah. I just think back to Skybound, not when Nia died, but because that's like, that's the opposite of my point. But like, think of the Lighthouse episode that had really, really deep moments that had nothing to do with death. So those, it can happen in Ninjago. So keep that in mind when you're like, should we be worried about Jay? Yes, we should be worried about Jay. Not about him dying, though. We should be worried about Nia, too, because something's going to happen to her emotionally. But it's not going to be her dying.
No,
So-
it will not be her dying. Characters are we have to accept the reality. No one's gonna die in Ninjago, so we need to change our paradigms for like
Except Zane.
except Zane.
Except Zane.
So we need to change our paradigms for what kind of like characterization we hope to get, because there's plenty you can still do without death. You can have dynamics change. You could have meaningful things happen to somebody. Maybe one day Jay will lose an eye and get that eye patch. We don't know. It could happen.
Maybe that's next season.
And speaking on characterization and the like, I think I want to move on to that. So I think one of the reasons why, because spoiler alert, I kind of alluded to it earlier. I don't really like the island that much when all's said and done, and I've been trying to think of why, because I'm like, well, it's funny. I don't hate that it has no stakes, so why didn't I like it? And number one's obviously Ronin bias. Number two, I think, is because it's another one of those seasons like Prime Empire, where no characters had anything going on, and I think I just don't like. I said season. I think it's another one of those things like Prime Empire, because one of my biggest critiques of Prime Empire was other people had an arc and the ninja didn't, and it made for a bunch of boring screen time with them. Well, this special the Twitch streamer had an arc.
Tim, the
Albeit
Twitch
brief.
streamer. Yeah.
And none of the ninja had anything going on whatsoever. Not even
There-
like it was only
There wasn't
Lloyd.
really a focus ninja this special.
It was Lloyd on the
This is
box,
hard.
but only because he was the one that got face paint on.
It was Lloyd
Oh, yeah,
for
I
one
forgot- I forgot.
episode.
I mean, Lloyd had the biggest arc of all. He made a friend.
He did. Lloyd finally overcame his hostility towards people and made a friend. You know, he's not gonna get a new girlfriend, but he can get a pet.
What a hero.
Oh my gosh, you did not just say that. Oh my
He's got Zippy.
I think.
Lloyd's gonna become the crazy cat guy.
Okay, you stop
I
that.
completely took that in a completely different way.
Bruh.
I
thought you
think.
meant
Oh no, I think I know what you mean.
Symbolism right here.
Spinjitzu, and I was like, no
you
way.
you don't want to bark up this road.
Let's move on.
I kind of lost track
Right,
a little
you
bit,
don't
which
bark
is
up that coconut tree.
it's a palm tree.
We don't have them here. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Why you gotta lose track of me, Elge?
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I think for this special, the thing that bothers me is that there's a lot of really good and really promising stuff, but it's almost equally balanced by the stuff that is not good. Or that I don't like. Like, almost one-to-one. Like, there's a lot of really good dialogue. There's a lot of really good scripting. Like, that line that Haley, like you mentioned, Lloyd said to the chief. It's like...
Kai. I said to the chief.
Oh, Kai. Sorry. My bad. Kai said to the chief, that's a really solid line. Lloyd's speech to Tim, the Twitch streamer, that's a really good line. Like, there's a lot of good dialogue, but it is almost, like, line for line, equaled by dialogue I just really don't like. Cole and his food thing. Ronin and his Scooby-Doo thing. Stuff like
Remember
that.
when Mamotus explained everything to them and then said, "Because I just explained everything to you,
No,
you
that
can
was
now
cool.
not
We looked
leave."
at that.
Okay,
I
that's,
didn't like that. That was stupid.
I actually
That
thought...
was hilarious.
I-
He's what a master of comedy.
I
It played like a joke.
and it was friggin'
I love him.
it was funny. I
Come
like
on.
that. I thought
He's-
that was
He's
funny.
like,
You've probably never done this before.
I
like,
think-
is
I
that
think-
what
If that was
happens?
played like a joke, I would find it funny, but it wasn't. It was just
But
like,
he's-
But, I mean, it's
I mean,
kind of...
he wants people.
They directly called it out, so the writers were very aware of the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, no, I 100% believe that was supposed to be comedic, and I thought that was legitimately funny. I will say this, though.
Which one will we pick to be the gift? And then Jay has a Jamer moment, and then like that one.
Jamer moment? Is that what you just said?
Might have.
I'm gonna kill you.
Absolutely.
There was a Jamer moment.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
So-
why did we not think of this for Prime
So wait, does that
Can
mean?
we rename Prime Empire?
Hey, Jamers, can
Oh.
I have an L Jamer moment?
No.
Can you?
Okay, so moving on. I think overall, though, the worst thing that the island does, the thing that I feel that is most criminal about it, the thing that genuinely disappointed me, is that an entire half of it felt like a commercial. It felt like I was watching a commercial, and I've never had that feeling as strong as I have with Ninjago before, as I have with the island. And the reason for that is
wholeheartedly agree.
it's entirely in the first two parts of it. The first two episodes are 100% the reason why I feel like that, and you can even see during our reaction episodes in NINJAGOcast Reacts, we're even like counting down how they get every set into those first two parts. It's like, all right,
No, we did overcount.
there's
There's the fifth one, and there literally is not a fifth set.
Yeah.
oh
Jay's
yeah,
electromech, bro.
yeah. What are you talking
It's the
about here?
But-
But-
wide boat.
It 100% feels like it's a commercial. And Ninjago has always done a reasonable job avoiding that issue, except for this time. Because it's 100% a product and story integration deal. Like, that's entirely what it is. Because usually when we have new characters, creatures, mechs, bikes, vehicles, we know where they're from. but watching the first 2 episodes of this felt 100% like I was watching Hero Factory Invasion from Below. It was just...
Yes, you're right!
Yep. It's the exact same
so
feeling I
right.
got. It was all of the visual flair and appeal of looking at things with none of the attachment to it. Because
What I love,
Bikes.
they had to contrive these very specific situations to like make the sets work and have them
catamaran
call it out. The
feature.
catamaran is like, oh no, this rock is too it's too close. Our boat's too wide.
Line, Meso.
Yeah.
It's too wide.
Oh my
Wide.
God.
And the
Stop
fact that
it.
they rode the bikes for like maybe 30 seconds. They're like,
And they
all right,
got off them.
and then got off the bikes
Also-
and they walked
No.
with it, and then suddenly there's the dragon.
I like the bikes purely because they got them on the island using the Hero Factory thing, where they're like, okay, now fire them at us.
And
Yes.
they put canisters on the beach. It was bionicle.
You're killing me. What is
It was so
Ninjago?
funny.
What is Ninjago if not Bionicle persevering?
It was so funny, dude. And I agree. Trust me, I agree that that's bad and that's something worth criticizing.
Yeah.
But I didn't even hate it. I couldn't
No,
stop
no,
myself
no, no,
from
no,
laughing.
No.
Those-
I don't
that was-
mean to suggest this is worth criticizing. I believe that this is the fundamental greatest flaw of this entire special.
Yep.
Absolutely,
100%.
bar nothing. Nothing is worse than this point. Like, Ninjago has had... Huh? What?
I cannot believe I didn't get my catamaran sea battle. They never battled. They just rode him in, and then they rode him again, and then Twitchy rode him again. And he's like, the one battle we got from boats was Twitchy just like ramming it straight into Ronin's boat, and that was it. I was like, "Where's my catamaran?" I was so excited because I saw the commercial and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna get amazing like ninja on water with boats and like all this cool wave action." And then it just happened in the first like 10 minutes and it was over.
Real talk, though, the visuals in that scene are freaking sweet, though.
Yeah, it looked very cool. It did look
You could have taken the vehicles out and nothing would have changed. I know that's kind of like you can say that about any situation, but there are situations in Ninjago where it's like, okay, we need the mech because we need all the only episode that comes to mind right now is Peekaboo for some god awful reason.
Yeah.
We need all 4 mechs in order to climb up. Okay.
Which it made sense.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's like, oh, we need the bikes to go.
We need the boats to get to the island. We need the bikes to go into the island. We need
It's
the dragon
just like,
to do this.
I know there's the whole storm belt thing, but the storm belt doesn't need to be there. And if it was gone, they could have just sailed in on the bounty, basically.
Yeah. It's contrivance. It's... There's no actual... See, this is a testament to how well Ninjago integrates sets and how it integrates its product into a story to make the reason for them being there compelling. Bionicle did a lot of this. We're very used to it doing this, with some very few exceptions. Sometimes either things just felt a little kind of or they were dropped entirely and made no substantial appearance. Ninjago usually does a pretty good job, and that's why this was so disappointing to see. It is 100% something Ninjago has always done very well, and it's 100% where it dropped the ball. And I think
I want to make a clip. Sorry, go ahead.
for that reason, I feel like this is, of our 3 specials, I feel it's better than Day of the Departed. It is not better than the pilots.
See, LJ, you're moving to
special.
You're moving to my ultimate thesis. They're not a special, but they're the only comparison we have in runtime. So we have to kind of grade them according to that
That criteria.
system.
Yeah.
LJ, you're preaching the good word, and I generally agree.
Thanks, Father Meso. What's up?
My
Oh no.
my ultimate thesis is and I'm not gonna die on the hill for this because I don't feel passionately
He's
about
about
it.
to die in hell for this.
I do. I do actually think it's worse than Day of the Departed. Here's the thing. I recall criticizing Day of the Departed endlessly for its absolute mountain of plot holes. And one thing I'll say to the island is it has very few plot holes that I could spot. It's actually rock solid plot-wise, with the caveat being that it doesn't really have much of a plot. Like, it does in the simplest of terms. Stuff does happen, but there isn't really that interesting of anything to really chew on or think about or digest. There's not really a super deep story. None of the characters really go through anything. The keepers aren't villains, so you can't really have a conflict of like hero versus villain. And then Ronin just comes out of nowhere at the end and gets locked up, and we've already discussed how Scooby-Doo that was and how unsatisfying that was. For all the flack I gave Day of the Departed way back when, and I stand by it 100%, it had Cole and Sensei Yang, which was a very, very, very good story. And it was a good story of being forgotten and like wanting a legacy. And it had some good themes to grapple with. And it had like an actual hero versus villain conflict. And this is about the only time I'm ever going to praise Day of the Departed. So, savor it while you can, because it's going to be gone soon. And even the other ninja arcs, which were stupid and contrived and pointless and dumb, was still, Moro is like trying to redeem himself, and the ninja are honoring their family, and everyone's like sad and they're paying respect to history. There was like stuff to grapple with, and Day of the Departed was no different than this. Day of the Departed had more sets than the island did. Day of the Departed actually had a bigger wave to integrate, and they actually integrated it. All the sets showed up, even the Temple of Air Jitsu, and I don't once recall us... didn't. Okay, fair. One of the sets didn't show up. You're right. So I guess that is a point off, I suppose, in terms of the comparison, because they do need to push the wave. But I don't recall thinking with Day of the Departed that this was just a toy commercial at any point. It never gave off those vibes.
The pilots did not either.
And it actually told a story.
I disagree on both counts.
The pilots, I think the only scene that immediately jumps out as this is a commercial is the ninja racing after the Skullkin after they get the blades.
Sure.
Or the golden weapons. So other than that, I didn't feel like it was a toy commercial. Which is funny, I was just thinking of like which season of Ninjago feels the least like a toy commercial. And the first one that came to mind, and the one that's like kind of sticking with me, is Prime Empire.
See, I counter that. I counter that objectively. March of the Oni is the one that doesn't feel like a toy commercial. Want to know why? Because they have toys. But monastery doesn't count.
No, it does count because there are toys. They focused around the monastery's Finjitsu, and they had Cole's Earth Driller.
They fight Skullkin, and one of them's a legacy set. Well, both of them are legacy sets.
No. Haley's got a point here. It directly incorporated
the Earth Driller.
Yeah.
What's that doing there?
Only thing that really felt off.
Yeah, no.
So, Prime Empire, I can't even I'm thinking back to what were the sets of Prime Empire? There was the temple. There was all
300 dragons.
Vehicles made sense because there was a race factor in it, but the race factor was just to get a Kitana, which made plenty of sense.
Hang about. The race is literally product placement for Legacy.
Yeah. They even put in the Legacy stuff.
Yeah.
But I would never have guessed that. It just looked like cool vehicles that you would see in a video game.
But see, and see, here's the thing. All of that
makes sense in the story.
Mm-hmm.
See,
it made sense in the story, which is exactly my point.
All of that makes perfect sense, and this is what I was saying and why this is such a problem. Ninjago has always historically done a really good job of product integration to where it's an organic story, and the inclusion of these things makes sense in a very sensible and organic way. Usually, historically, this is fairly reliable, which is why this is so blatant and it feels so out of place.
It felt like there was way too much time put into these sets appearing and then disappearing pretty instantly.
Exactly. And we're used to sets showing up and then vanishing.
Yeah.
But their inclusion is usually okay. They word it in such a way where it makes sense. It's kind of like it's the reverse of what Bionicle fans usually go on about. It's excusing product placement because of story related factors which is the Reverse Bionicle fans that try and excuse set-based issues with story-related excuses.
That's true. That's a very good point.
It is the
We'll do
complete
that all the
opposite.
time.
And, like, I totally get it. That's another form of marketing and whatnot. But again, this is the issue. This is the big problem. That's what I really don't like about this. And I know, like, Haley, we were talking about this a few days ago, about which of the specials was the better one. You know, of the three of them. And we were really, like, debating heavily, well, is it going to be, will it be the pilots, or will it be this? And this is where I think I land. I think the pilots edge this out simply because of this factor. This is the biggest problem.
Yeah.
I
Fair
agree completely.
So,
The pilot, I mean, listen, the pilots are outdated. The pilots are old. The animation is wonky, but the story's a million times better, and the story set integration is way better. You know, put it this way: if the pilots, how do I put this? If Ninjago had started with the island, I don't know if it would have been as popular. You know what I mean? Look at it like that. The pilots are old, but they had enough staying power, and they laid enough bricks, and they told enough story in their 40 minutes to kickstart the whole theme.
Yeah.
You know, people forget them, and people take them for granted, and they are some of the worst Ninjago content only because of how old they are.
I don't even
but they're
remember
still
them.
good.
I need to watch them again because I haven't seen them in so long. Because I don't know if they're necessarily that bad. I don't know if I would call them that bad. But
They're
I
not
also
bad. They're only because they're old. I think the story is fine, and also watching them now is weird because they have a lot of weird stuff with voice acting. Like, Jay has a completely different accent. He talks like a New Yorker.
Oh yeah, that was a thing.
His voice is much lower.
Woo,
And
like
never forget Woo.
Woo, they literally have to, like,
would not want you to do this.
they have to overdub him with like a racist Asian man voice. Like, so they're weird like that, but they're still good. They're a good story.
I hate to say it, but we missed another Tommy comment.
Yeah, Tommy came back.
LJ is right.
Right. Sorry. Says it again.
Really? He said it again?
Yeah.
Nice.
LJ, man. LJ is just 2 for 2 tonight.
Well, we know how Tommy feels.
Get him in the right room.
The best way I could put it is this. Like, for me, I did not hate the island. I didn't love the island. If I'm being totally honest and fair, I didn't really have much of an emotional response to the island at all. I watched it and I was like, cool, it's done. It's moving on. For something to have these problems, they're definitely problems, and they're definitely worth criticizing. Trust me, I'm always about that. I'm glad it's in a special and not a full season. Like, as far as I'm concerned, Seabound can still redeem this year if it's good, which is how it's being hyped up to be. I'm not gonna look especially if this is a prelude to Seabound, which is what it seems to be. Like, bring it on, you know? I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna judge this too harshly in like 6 months if Seabound is good. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's basically where I stand. But right now, I think that I agree. The pilots clip this just a tad. But that's only like I think the second half of the island is incredibly strong. And I think it's really, really great storytelling. And I just love how fun it is and how the story just moves so fast, but also so hectically. And I think that the only way that this special could ever eclipse the pilots is if there's something that happens in this that is like that causes something in Seabound. And like this is like the perfect setup for it.
I mean, even then, I'm not going to give credit to this. I'm going to give credit to Seabound.
I think so. I really like what they've kind of done, where they've done a special and then they've done a season later on, right?
Yep.
Fundamentally, I think if you're going to do that, you don't want this massive gap we've got, because I think we would judge the island differently if we got the special and then Seabound like the next week or so.
Correct.
If it was like a if it was like a TV movie, It's like, wham! Here comes Seabound. Hope you're ready, mates.
Yeah.
It'll be next week. I think
I'm
fundamentally we would judge it differently, but
You're right.
because there is this gap now, it's like, well, they're two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a rumor going around that I hope is fake, that, like, Seabound is only going to have 6 episodes.
Oh,
And it was like, the island is going to be the 4, and then Seabound is going to be 6, and then you combine them together and it's 10. And for the love of God, please let that be fake. Please, I swear, I don't know what I'm going to
less
do.
than usual, isn't it?
It would be, yes. Hypothetically, it would
I'm
be.
curious to
It's
see
on
whether
average a season. On average, a season that nowadays, ever since the switch to 11-minute episodes, a season is like between 30 to 32 episodes.
Yeah, I'm curious
My
to see.
guess is what happened is that Lego, or I don't know who like issues the amount of episodes, but they dropped it to 20. So you get, that's what a special in a season. That's 4 episode special in the 16 episode season.
Yeah, which is
That's
fine.
what I would imagine is
that's
what
the
happened.
equivalent to 8 old episodes, like rebooted length. That's fine if Seabound is like that.
Which that's Prime Empire and Master of the Mountain.
Real quick, I hate to cut in here. I was reminded of something, another
Go on.
issue, and I think one of you guys mentioned this first before I noticed it, but it bears mentioning. This is not a good continuation to Master of the Mountain.
Yes.
I forgot about that. Pain, endless
I
pain.
wanted to talk about that, yeah, but I forgot it.
We all love Master Wu getting his mojo back, and they're like,
Let's go
wherever
where
the
the
wind
wind
takes
blows.
us. And you're like, yes, let's go where the wind blows.
Peace out, guys. Let me go hang out with me.
Going with my girlfriend and
I like to
my
imagine-
girlfriend's whole group with Clutch
I like to
Towers.
imagine right after, like, he says that, and Master of the Mountain just gets a parachute.
No, he just drops off the ninja, and they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm gonna go on an adventure with Miss Yako." And they're like, why not us?" And he's like, "Cause y'all need rest." Haha. Bye.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I did have a way that it could work concocted in my head when I watched the French version, but unfortunately watching the English version has completely wiped the hard drive on that, so I don't have any convoluted solutions.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
that's one for like the fanfic writers to put their fan seasons in between.
Yep, there you
Hey
go.
guys, this is my OC.
Sounds like a job.
It's me.
It's me.
sounds like a job for my
You?
brain to fix. I know. How
There you
can I
go.
take corrupted and put it in there now?
I'm sure there's a way. Like, it's
yeah,
a place to be.
So
No, you're very right, Elgin. We definitely had talked about that while it was going on. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of sick of talking about that angle just because I always do, but like it doesn't make it any less valid. The days of the interconnected seasons are long gone, and I miss them very greatly. I feel like history is only making the trifecta of tournament, possession, and Skybound more strong, including possession, which I gave a lot of criticism to back in the day. The more years go by, the better those seasons are. And it's just going to be more and more true.
Oh no.
So we got the scene of that, of the ninja just on the bounty chatting with Master Wu that led to nothing, instead of the Geckles and the Months building Cole's statue next to his mom. Are you kidding me?
Yes. They had the perfect season transition. They chose it instead of a character moment, and then it did transition to a season. Choke on your tears.
Right, why?
Guys, no. Seabound is gonna start with
Are
a
you okay?
sequence. And you'll be like, whoa. Yeah, alright. Welcome to Alti's version of Seabound.
Do it.
Episode 1, right? I don't know, it's like episode 1, we're on a boat. Oh, hi. Oh, wow, I can't believe okay, my point was that they start on like the mural thing and they're like, wow, I can't believe we went on that adventure with Master Wu. Now let's go to the island. And then they're like, oh, and then the flashback ends. And they're like, wow, I can't believe we did all that.
Amazing. I'm down for it.
They're gonna
Give us a flashback.
Better yet, they're just gonna come back halfway. They're gonna go back to the monastery halfway through Seabound. There's gonna be a mural there that no one recognizes.
Dude, that'd be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you're very upset about this.
I will
Calm
never
down.
be able to watch the last scene of Master of the Mountain never again. I feel like that could have been this, but
We had
no.
to get our setup for
we had to get
fanfic.
our Master Wu out of funk thing done, even
I
though
mean,
it was obvious.
it's just so bizarre because it's the perfect transition for any season, but the one they chose here. Like, think about
Yeah.
it. Like, it could have been anything, any instance, any like
Crown
random
Empire.
tournament, but the one they decided to go with is Master Wu gets held captive. That's just so funny to me. I love that.
Also, it would have like not
Raggedy.
been different at all if Wu wasn't with Misako. and
Yeah, it's
instead with
functionally the
ninja.
same.
Yeah.
That's a point. It's one that I don't really have a lot to say about, but I remembered another reason that the Ronin thing kind of bugs me, and it's because of Clutch Powers. Because Clutch Powers is
Clutch
Ronin.
Powers. He was
Clutch
in the
Powers has
episode.
Clutch Powers has co-opted what Ronin's role would otherwise be. The thief who's like constantly like focused on like money and stuff and like trying to get artifacts and things, except instead of being the suave, smooth-talking, funny, quippy Ronin, he's just kind of the idiot gumdrops Clutch Powers.
I've
And by
cracked
the end of
code.
and by the end of the special, I actually hate him now. What's up, Alti?
They used to both be Ronin, and they split into two separate entities.
Oh
And
my
Ronin,
gosh.
he got all the competence.
Yes.
He's evil, and Clutch got all the
Clutch.
good, but none of
See,
the
I-
good stuff.
Clutch
I
isn't really
want-
that good.
I want to start the theory that Clutch and Ronin were doing this together, but Clutch was just an idiot and went too
That'd be
soon.
funny. You're too soon.
You're too soon.
No, I'd love that.
But
I don't know. I was just having this discussion, and I think it was in the Ninjago chat, and people were like, "Well, they're not the same personality; they're different." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's true. They are very different. They just fulfill similar like narrative roles.
Yeah.
You know, like their characters are the same, but because Clutch is the lovable, you know, anti-hero thief who's like part of the
Lovable?
friends group. I mean, not by me
Lovable.
anymore, but the fans like him. You know,
Do we?
Do
some
we?
people do. I don't.
I mean,
Okay, if I'm not
some
alone, by all
people-
means.
some people
I'm
like
used to being in the minority. If I'm not, bring it on. Hate
Well, to
Clutch.
be fair, your takes are usually pretty bad.
Hate Clutch by all means. Let's hate Clutch. Fine.
I enjoy
sucks.
Clutch being in the story, but if he ever was like considered as a Ronin replacement, I'd be like, no, get out of the show, Clutch.
I mean,
Go back to your
functionally, that's
movie.
what he is.
I
He's
don't
part
think
of the secondary cast. He's adventuring with Misako, getting trapped on an island. He's literally Ronin 2, except not likable.
Literally because he
He's
was
not
like that for the
competent.
Dark Island. Clutch power.
Anyway, that was basically all I had to say about that. I don't have a big tangent. Just I don't like Clutch.
I want Clutch
I
and
don't think
Ronin to
Clutch
work
was
together because I
ever-
think they would have a good,
I agree.
yeah.
Clutch
I like what
Ronin.
Dakota said in the
Yeah.
in the reacts. He's like, "This is the start of the Clutch Ronin like supremacy." I'm like, "Yes,
I'd
please."
be down for that.
I don't
That'd be
think
great.
Clutch was ever supposed to be like likable, at least in Ninjago. I think the people that really like him because of the Clutch Powers movie.
That's true.
True.
But the Ninjago Clutch is very much not a likable character,
Yeah.
and that's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
I mean, he unlocked Nauticon. We can't like him.
I see this
Maybe
theory
he-
going
maybe
around
he
that
is
Nauticon is Clutch. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
See,
my
that
god.
would be funny. I would
Well,
totally take that.
I'm
That's
down.
what
I,
we're
I refuse. I don't want him to come back
okay.
in any
like,
form.
Why don't you
If
like
Clutch
that?
like breaks out of the prison in the next season and steals the amulet and basically sets up all of Seabound, and then like in the last episode of Seabound, it's revealed he's not a con, that would blow my mind.
I genuinely thought, you know, the bit on the pier where he gets knocked over and he has the thing in the bag,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it like,
Yeah,
I honest to God thought it was just gonna slide off the pier.
That's what I thought. Too. I thought it was gonna
Water.
roll into the water and you'd be like, "Well, beep."
That'd be funny.
Oh, that's not good.
Drops cut to black.
Gumdrops. And then the
I think
room starts rumbling, and Nia like bends over in pain, and we're like, "What is going on?" And it's like, "Stay tuned, Torsi bound."
So I think it's time we finally address the most important thing of the special, and that is Zippy the Dragon. Okay, it's been addressed. So anyway, here's what I think about the island. I feel I'm about to make an enemy of Magic Ninja, our long-term patron. I apologize in advance. I think Zippy might quite possibly be the ugliest dragon I've ever seen in animated media.
100% right. But
how do you ban someone from NINJAGOcast?
I think it might be the ugliest animated dragon, second only to maybe the Raya and the Last Dragon dragon. It might be a bit uglier.
There we
ugly.
go.
It's
Holy crud.
That's much better. Anywho, now we're going to be talking about Zippy. How Zippy actually. Zippy is by far the cutest dragon.
Okay, so I remember distinctly when we did the review for Zippy last month.
Oh yeah, I was there.
You were there. That was a month ago.
I have Zippy right here. You can't see me. Zippy's over there. Hey, Zippy.
I remember I was not totally sold on the Goofy dragon, and I would need to see the show to try and be sold on it to see how it would actually work. Yeah, I was not sold on it. I'm not a fan.
I'm the complete opposite. I didn't like the Jungle Dragon set. After seeing Zippy in the episode, the only thing stopping me buying that set is that I'm broke.
Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I think Zippy as a concept is fine. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
It just not my deal.
I have a challenge for Ninjago artists very quickly, because I think I know the only issue with Zippy. Fix the eyes.
Yep.
Make the pupil much bigger. If you are a Ninjago artist, I want you to not change anything about the dragon. I want you to fix the eyes and see how.
Zippy.
Because Magic keeps comparing Zippy to like Toothless, and I agree. Like Toothless is a good dragon. I agree wholeheartedly. Make Zippy like Toothless. I would probably like Zippy quite a lot. And you're right. It's the pupils.
Zippy.
If the pupils were bigger, and they were more like puppy doggish, then probably Zippy would be a lot cuter.
Nah, they're like, what's the word? The sticky eyes that you stick on things. Yeah, they're like that.
The googly eyes.
Googly eyes. That's like
I see. That's the point they were trying to get at. Didn't work.
I wish that every time like Zippy moved his head around, that just like the pupils bounced around in there.
I think the design works for what he was in the special. He wasn't supposed to be like the majestic dragon, like Firstborn or something. He was supposed to be weird and goofy, and I think that works.
That's fair. I mean, I'm not gonna die on a hill for it. Like, people like their dragons, obviously. Magic likes Haley. You like? It's like,
I think
all right, Ulti you like
more as a lizard than a dragon.
I mean, yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's what Zippy should have been that all along. Zippy should have only been a Komodo dragon. That's what needed to happen. Because we can tell these wings are terrible. They're slapped on. They don't look good.
See the wings in that picture.
And see, that's the thing. Yeah, the wings don't even match the show. Like, they're slapped on in both regards, because on the set it just doesn't look good, and on the show they don't resemble the set. Like,
it would look way better without the wings.
It would look way better, and it would make sense because they're on a tropical island, and it's a dragon. It can still be a dragon because they're called Komodo dragons. They're just large lizards. So
yeah,
it would have been way better. So
I'm trying to think. I have an element of praise I haven't spoken about yet. I want to be nice. No. I really liked the tiki golem thing.
Yeah.
That fight scene was really
cool. Awesome, and it was like literally the only good fight scene from the show.
Now, I see in the YouTube chat, oh gosh, I hope I don't say your name wrong, but Sathasilis, I think that's how you pronounce it, mentioned something a while back, and I'll let them say it again about the interesting thing that connects that Tiki Golem to Wohira.
You what?
So I'll let them say that before we talk about it, because
Say it again.
they did a lot better than I did.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I thought it was a really, really good scene.
It was a lot bigger than it was in the set, which I noticed, and it makes me kind of wish the set one was matching its wideness, but wide for what it is. It was neat. How it could like channel the elemental energy. I don't know. It was just cool. Like when I think of the special, that's like one of the standout moments for me.
Yeah, the camera movement was really good in that scene. Like when it chased after Zane.
Yeah, that was really dynamic.
Zane like dodging the blades, like
yeah.
I loved Zane throwing his own shurikens at them. And
yes,
like, does nothing.
This will kill him.
I thought that was an excellent scene. I also really appreciated. So thank you, Ninjago creators, for that sweet Biocraft Chronicles reference toward the end of the final episode, or maybe it's like the second last episode, when they're going after Jay and they're trying to go get him back, and then all the natives are throwing spears at the ninja. I just thought that was a really sick reference to every time Takua said he was a Roblox player and had to leave a village.
Oh my gosh.
You'll love to see it.
But in all seriousness, though, I thought that was also a really good scene. I thought that a lot of the energy and dynamicism was really good.
It's that kind of stuff that I love to see. It's moments, because on the whole, I'm gonna be real, it didn't look that great texture wise. The ground was very, very blah. Overall, but there were a few standout scenes that I think really they sold home the benefits of Wildbrain. The tiki thing was one of them. Jay on the bridge was another. The colors really got to shine through, and the catamaran scene with the dynamic water and the movements for that. Those were also really good.
I loved the momentum in the catamaran scene. I know we bashed on it earlier, and we were like, "Oh, the whole wide thing." It's like, it's to sell toys, but unironically, there was like, because obviously going into it, I was like, they might end up in a pretty bad way. I was kind of convinced that they were going to end up shipwrecked, but it was cool. It was tense. It was like, we're going pretty fast. Although we're too wide.
We're too wide.
We can't. The button doesn't work.
We need to get Cole. We're too wide as an audio clip.
Oh my gosh.
After the react, we talked a bit about the animation, and I definitely agree. Like with the floor, we talked about that was like too smooth. I feel like, because I rewatched it, and I feel like in the second half it was a lot better. In the first half, there were also some weird animation issues with like Pixel's armor was missing for one shot, and
really,
I don't know if that was intentional, but for some reason they had the old ninja hoods.
Really,
but in the second half, like once they're in the village, it looked a lot better in my opinion. And also like when they're on the water trying to rescue Jay, I think the second half looked really good. The first half had some like weird issues, and then some really good poster shots like on the bridge and the island itself. So I don't know.
I found the singular, like you said, poster shots, like the ones where it's obvious, like, they spent a lot of time on it. I think those looked really good. Yeah. Just unfortunately, that's like the minority, at least for the first two. I think one of the things that benefited the second two episodes in terms of visuals was that they took place at night. So it kind of like, you know what I mean? It kind of masked a lot of the texturing, and what they got to rely more on was the ambience.
Yeah. The lighting was really good.
And the fog. The fog was also good because it kept being illuminated by the bolts of lightning, so it created this eerie atmosphere.
Plus the fireballs.
Fire was good. See, I can praise things. I can be nice.
All right, here we go. Back to the tiki things.
Okay.
So that Sathasilla says in the YouTube chat that Wohira's leitmotif, I think that's how you pronounce it, was used for the golems. That is a musical term in which there is a similar theme in the music
Really?
for both the golems, which are the stone things, plus we'll hear at the very end. Also, the character encyclopedia reveals that the first Spinjitzu master built the stone golems, which I think was mentioned in the leitmotif. Okay, leitmotif. So that explains kind of how it was able to absorb the elemental powers and then use them into their advantage. There was something that had there's something kind of magical about that.
That's really
and
cool.
And then finally, this is more of a theory that they found that I'm going to probably point out again, Wohira's leitmotif had notes of the overlords in it. And I'm 80% sure it definitely means something.
Oh god.
That's cool.
Well,
So,
yeah, because you pointed out earlier, right, that maybe he didn't make Ninjago and the Dark Island came out of the water.
mm-hmm.
If Wohira
But we're going
was
back
there,
to that time. Yeah.
Gojira.
surely
Because
the Overlord was there.
The composers have the ability to create brand new themes just on a whim. We've seen them do it like countless and countless and countless times. Every single character kind of has their own sound, their own theme, their own notes. So the fact that they were able to say, wait a second, there are some of the same notes here, like that's probably not an accident because they know what they're doing.
Oh god.
So
Is it time? Is it finally time?
Do you all remember that there was like this comic that said that the Great Devourer came from the Overlord? And Tommy said that's a very good thing that might be canon, even though the comic isn't. So, and now we have another giant serpent creature maybe connected to the Overlord.
It's about time. The Overlord has been the most wasted Ninjago character because as Ninjago's lore has gotten deeper and deeper, he feels more and more like an oddball. I think he could. I think he should. Honestly, he should come back. But even if he doesn't come back, he should be fleshed out more.
It kind of makes sense too with the amulets, because you said, "Oh, what if it's to stop Wohira from
waking up,
doing whatever Wohira does?" Well, if Wohira's a Overlord thing, makes sense.
That's awesome. I like that. So, bring it.
Like, you get the first Spinjitzu master, is like a god, but technically is more of a god of the first realm. He's not a god for Ninjago. So now we're looking at all of these giant creatures who are like gods of their own realms that are kind of starting to be connected. Overlord is not exact.
The Overlord is kind of counterbalance to the first Spinjitzu master.
So he somewhat fills the bill. We just don't exactly know what his full role is in Ninjago now, since especially the Oni, have crept up and we're like, so how is the Overlord connected to the Oni? Because the Overlord is a giant dragon.
I'm sorry.
Which is the opposite of the Oni. So
I'm sorry. Forgive me. Fills the bill? You mean fits the bill?
Fits the bill. Yeah.
Fits the bill. Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
I would personally like it to be like, so Mistake was an Oni that turned good. I would like it if the Overlord was a dragon that turned evil, like a dragon that tapped into the Oni powers, right?
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be down with that. Something like that, at least.
Mm-hmm. But anywho, composers are giving us a couple clues here. If we can listen, I think that's really cool. So, and I also think it's cool because the stone golems in the sets protected the amulet, or they took on the powers of lightning. And Wohira is like the one that holds the other amulet. So those might be connected somehow. So
stone golems are the first Spinjitzu masters, stone warriors.
Oh, that's... I saw a thing recently on the old Twitter that was, there's a concept that went unused, that the first Ninjitsu master had a statue that would have come to life if they needed him. Stone golem?
A lot of interesting stuff. I think the next season's gonna be very interesting. I feel like I love the hints of moving to deep lore because it makes it so much more interesting than just like, man, we're going into a video game world, or we're going to like, underground mountain world that might have something to do with Earth. It's like, oh, we're dealing with
ultimately won't matter.
We're dealing with like Nia's possible powers, or we're dealing with, is the first Ninjutsu master really a good guy? That's so super all powerful and whatnot. So it's exciting. I think it's
interesting things are touched on. I think that it's definitely worthy of praise. I think it's definitely more substantive. It's just, it makes the island itself feel very hollow, because I'm all the stuff I talk about is like with a caveat. It's like, so Ronin could be interesting if he comes back. First Ninjutsu Master could be interesting if they do something with it. Overlord musical notes, maybe we'll see the Overlord. It's very contingent on what comes after. This is pure, unequivocal setup. So in a year from now, I can probably look back on the island and be like, this is awesome. Or I can look back on it and be like, wow, I kind of hate this. It didn't do anything. It's very much a wait and see kind of a thing.
I agree.
So we've been going for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think we should probably start to wrap up.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
Final thoughts. Sakota,
yes.
What did you think of the island?
Overall, I liked it. The stakes weren't that high, but I think not every story needs that. I like having like a bit of a lighter adventure. I find it a hard time like ranking it or something like that. I think for me it's better than Day of the Departed. I don't think I like it more than the pilots, but overall I had a fun time and I enjoyed it.
Respect. Direct your attention to Ninjago chat. I did the thing for all of your uses.
Also,
I can't play this, otherwise it's gonna play.
It's okay, don't play it. I just made the clip of you too wide when we're too wide.
I also made this.
Push the button. We're too wide.
Ulti, what did you think about the island?
I liked it a lot. I'm gonna defend it until I die. In terms of special rankings, it goes Day of the Departed, The Island, The Pilots.
Alright. Fair enough.
I thought it was really cool. And I really liked that it was a light-hearted plot with no stakes, because I reckon Tommy Andreassen's winding up the bat for next season.
Salty, I like your takes. You're just a fun-loving guy.
Yes. Yeah.
Alright. Elge, what'd you think?
So, the island frustrates me because it's...
Oh, Dakota, I love the island. Ulti, I love the island. LJ, it frustrates me.
It's a gradual decline.
It's a gradual decline.
It frustrates me because there are a lot of really good aspects to the island. Like, it does a lot that is good. It has some really good dialogue. It has some really good looking moments. It has a really cool and interesting atmosphere. And it is really good setup. That's good. All of that is very, very good. But it's what it does that's wrong that just really, really takes it down. You have really goofy, out-of-place dialogue for characters. You have scenes that they have not been composited very well, or at least not as well as previous seasons. It's short, which I can't hold that too much against it. I understand there are probably other restrictions and issues there. Like, there's stuff that I don't fully understand, so I'm not going to necessarily call that its problem. And of course, its greatest issue, bar nothing, and in my eyes, the greatest sin that Ninjago can commit, outside of being boring, which Ninjago usually is not, is feeling like a commercial. Because Ninjago never does, or rarely ever does. And it absolutely felt like this for a good 50% of it. And I just... That was the problem. That was the big problem. I feel that it's... I find myself leaning toward what Messa was getting at in saying that Day of the Departed is probably better than this. I'm not ready to sign off on that just yet because this was super funny. Like, it was legitimately entertaining. I really got a good few laughs out of it. I feel like I'm going to remember it going forward, but I don't know. If I remember Day of the Departed a year from now more than I do The Island, Day of the Departed was the one that won. So, we're going to have to wait and see, but it frustrates me because it's just, this is not Ninjago at its best. This is Ninjago at its unfortunately painfully average.
Do you want to go next, or you want me to?
You can go next. I'll go last.
Okay. Here's the thing. I don't hate this. I've hated Ninjago seasons before. Hands of Time, March of the Oni, and Prime Empire all concurrently filled me with boiling rage for a variety of reasons. Usually it's plot holes or weird story stuff that really grinds my gears. This didn't really have any of that. It wasn't offensive to me. It was fun, like Ulti said. It's just fun. It's lighthearted, low stakes. Unfortunately, it also was very it didn't fill me with any positive emotions either. In the reactions, I was basically stone-faced for most of it, except when Ronin showed up, and then that was quickly followed by disappointment. So for me, when I look at it, I don't want to be too mean to it, because I feel like kicking a puppy almost if I really ripped into this, because it's only 40 minutes. It's a very low stakes story. Like I don't want to crucify it, you know, because I'm like, oh, there's things more deserving of my ire than this in past seasons. But I think what really works against it is its length. And hear me out, because I don't, like LJ said, there's limitations to it. I'm sure. I said earlier I wasn't going to judge it against regular seasons because of that, because this isn't a season, it's a special. Unfortunately, what that ends up doing, and kind of the thesis I hinted towards earlier, is it makes me have to compare it to Day of the Departed and Pilots. And most people generally agree that those aren't as good as full seasons by virtue of runtime. So if I have to compare it against those, well, the Pilots, I think, were better. I think they dealt with more interesting story stuff. I think they established the world. They established a lot of cool stuff. They organically integrated sets. And Day of the Departed, I didn't like it, but it did tell a pretty good character-focused story that I can't believe I'm speaking those words. It did pretty well with its main story. It dealt with some themes. It grappled with some stuff, and I left that feeling like that at least was done pretty good, even if the rest wasn't. So it becomes that age-old question, right? Well, what's better? Something that had good elements and bad elements, or something that is average? And for me, it's the good and bad, because at least it tried to push the boundaries a bit. So when I look at that, The Island is the worst special, in my opinion. And the specials are the worst Ninjago content by sole virtue of runtime. So my unfortunate thesis that I come to with The Island is The Island is my least favorite Ninjago content. Period, bar none. Not because I hated it like I did some other seasons, but because it just can't rise to the same level. And it's also just very, very generic. You might say, is it really worse than Hands of Time, Meso? Probably not. Hands of Time is worse.
Hands of Time is on a completely different level.
But Hands of Time gave me funny Ronin and Dareth moments. And The Island gave me bad Ronin moments. So yeah, The Island is worse.
I get bad Ronin moment.
I did. I do actually think that if I watched The Island back to back with Hands of Time, I think I would probably enjoy Hands of Time more. Now, how much of that is ironic? How much of that is ironically? Probably a lot of it ironically, to be fair.
Oh my god.
But yeah.
I feel like we drag Hands of Time through the dirt way too much, but it deserves it.
If I watched The Island back to back with Hands of Time, I would probably enjoy Hands of Time more, albeit probably I just said that, albeit probably more ironically than not.
That means that you have to actually make it through Hands of Time.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. I think probably Hands of Time is still the worst content. But aside from that, like I said, I have no strong negative emotion towards the island. I do not hate it. It feels very much like Hero Factory Invasion from Below, LJ mentioned earlier. I think that's an apt comparison, not only because it felt very TV commercially, but also because its runtime and the unique meta reasons for its creation make it feel almost like the wounded puppy that I don't really want to kick too bad. You know, Invasion from Below was bad, but they had to make it with a new studio. They couldn't use their old voice actors. They were kind of handicapped. And with this go round, they were handicapped by episode limitations. So I'll wait and see how Seabound goes. But unfortunately, by pure my own like semi-objective rankings, even though I didn't hate it, it's probably right at the bottom. That's it.
All right, I have to follow that.
Good.
So the island. See, I agree with the first two episodes. The first two episodes, I remember finishing it and laughing at the bit with Coconut and the dragon, and chuckling at Twitchy and the bridge scene and whatever. And then thinking, I was like, wow, like I feel like nothing's happening. And then we get the next two episodes where everything happened and it was so funny and it was so much was going on. And then Ronin came back and it was just overall a really good feeling. It was a much better feeling than watching the first two episodes. I'll tell you that much. I'm curious to see how it feels watching the whole thing nonstop. But my general thoughts on the island is that I am disappointed with the fact that it felt like a toy commercial up until the story got real. And it's one of those like, yes, I know you're trying to sell toys here. It's quite obvious. But I think the story makes up for it in the end, because you do get really great action, really great kind of mystery. And it's nice. It's nice to see the fact that the enemy faction, again, isn't actually the enemy, even though it was sort of like that for Master of the Mountain. It's cool seeing that twist. And then them apologizing at the end was also really funny. It's kind of fresh. And a lot of what I think about the island overall is going to result on two things. One is going to be the first 5 minutes of Seabound, and two is going to be the entirety of Seabound. That's what's really going to leave the island with, because I hope this is set up. I sure hope that it's complete setup. But yeah, I had a really fun time with it. I thought there were great character moments, especially with Jay and Nia and Kai. Yeah, I look forward to watching it all again. The biggest takeaway is I now know what it's like to see Ninjago as a true toy commercial, and I don't like it. So let's have that not happen again.
I mean, like I said, if Seabound is good, this will be a cool footnote that established some cool lore and had some fun moments. I don't think anyone's gonna remember it as like peak content, but it's not gonna be hated either. It's not gonna go down in the annals of history like the other stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I do think Ulti, funnily enough, hit it right on the head. I think this is the baseball bat, and the ball is coming, and we haven't seen it hit yet. But man, is it going to be a home run?
My analogy was more that Tommy was going to hit us with the baseball bat.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
do it, Tommy.
We're the ball.
I dare you.
In motion. We're in motion.
Take out all your frustration on me for my years of critique. Give me some stakes. Give me some pain. Make me cry over it.
want to say one thing before I get kicked out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The island, right? You said it's like a
Yes.
product commercial a lot. I think that's because the island, by its nature, is a commercial for Seabound.
I mean,
How meta.
if that's
Ooh.
true, that's great, but that's dependent on Seabound.
Dude, it's putting a lot of pressure.
Well,
I don't like this.
What I mean is it's basically an extended promo to set up what Seabound's gonna say. And
You're right.
I think that's why it
I
suffers so much from it's a
I
toy
just-
commercial because it's a season commercial.
I just hope that like this got all the lore out of the way, so Seabound can go right in,
Yeah.
and we can
Yeah,
save
I guess
some
I-
runtime from exposition.
because now we know that Wahira's probably gonna.
That's a really
mess
good
things
point.
up.
Oh my gosh, Dakota, you just cracked it. This is like, because they don't have time anymore for exposition and setup because it's 11-minute episodes, that they're saving time by already getting stuff out there so they can jump right into it. Because if this was a usual season, then they have to get to the island and they have to explain who these people are and all that stuff. And that's fine in 22-minute episodes because they have time for that. But we don't have time for that anymore. That's a really good point. I think Dakota just cracked it.
I hope it's true.
Because I would
would-
love if they just jump straight in.
I would love that. I'm not gonna
Get my hopes up though.
I don't want to
Like
put a lot
people
of
to come
pressure.
back.
I don't want a lot of pressure put on Seabound, but I also feel like it's unavoidable with
Mhm.
something like this segueing into it. There kind of has to be some element of pressure because it could retroactively make this better. But like, I don't know. I don't want it to crack under the weight of expectation.
Yeah.
T33
I just-
in the YouTube chat says I need more lore in Seabound though. There will be lore,
Yeah.
but they're establishing the
basis
positioning
here.
of what this island means and what
All
Hero
I
is
want,
right now.
all I want from my Ninjago season, I just want to say it again because I do every time. I don't want super edgy stuff. I don't want everyone dying left and right. I just want a season that focuses on characters doing things that are in character, highlighting the aspects of their character that make them unique. Maybe something changes by the end of it to make them have different character, or maybe they just do things in the story and the story plays out because of their character, where if somebody else was in their shoes, it would have played out differently. That's what I want. Ninjago is about characters. Let them do things. For Nia's season, do I expect her to be completely different than the Nia we know by season's end? No. Do I expect her as a person to have some agency in the season to where if you swapped her out with Lloyd, it wouldn't play out the same way? Yes. And I don't just mean because of the water element. I mean them as a person. That's all I want. That's all I ever want. Let it happen. And lore would be cool too.
I think we are, when we first got word that season 14 or what we thought was season 15 was going to be Nia, we got really excited because we're like, oh my goodness, we're going to get really cool, like maybe lore about Nia's powers and, fill in the blank. And then all of a sudden they throw around words like this was built by the first Spinjitzu master. And the first Spinjitzu master did this to control water or whatever. And we're like, oh, so this isn't just about Nia. This is about the history of Ninjago, which completely elevates the importance of what is about to happen in the story. So fingers crossed, we can only hope. So overall, Island was a big solid MEH from NINJAGOcast. So
It had fun elements. I don't want to be, like I said, I don't want to be mean. It was like LJ put it was very average. And for me, stuff that's average is usually like that's
this is
It's
average
a-
for
it-
NINJAGO special, so therefore it's not very good.
It hurts me to say that too, because when I say average, like Ninjago average is not, it should not be bad. Like it was
No.
just media average is more what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I agree.
That is below average for Ninjago.
correct. Ninjago's been really great. And
So-
I hope
Yep.
it builds back up to that. Magic Ninja gave a $5 super chat. Says, I hope that whenever the island comes out for the U.S., they include the Kirby Morrow tribute that's in the end of it.
I did not see it.
And I agree, because our version that we watched did not have the Kirby Morrow tribute.
I saw it.
Yeah,
Was it
it was.
good?
It was on the end of the. Yeah, it was.
Okay, so
It was-
aside from obviously it being a very heartfelt tribute to Kirby Morrow, it does kind of enhance the end of the episode because you have the We're Here thing, and instead of straight to credits, you have like 5 seconds of black. But I'm very confused as to why it wasn't in the episodes, because obviously it's a very important thing.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I completely agree. There's a tweet of it somewhere.
All right.
But
Fair
yeah,
enough. That's about it. That's all I gotta say.
I forgot about one more thing that we forgot about.
Go on.
Might as well just do it now. So, well, I guess since we're wrapping up,
You would say it?
Oh, the plugs.
I'd like to give us some plugs.
Yeah, the plugs.
Yeah.
Forgot about the plugs.
Since Stink TV is kind of going through something right now, I don't know, because I'm in the Ninjago verse. I'm over here at Ninjago, like the island, and then while we're getting set up, there was probably a 20-minute discussion about the other thing that TTV is doing right now. So let's talk about that. So, you go ahead. I'll give you about I'm gonna set a timer. You have approximately 2 minutes.
What? 2 minutes? I'm not going to spend 2 minutes talking about the Bionicle Cannon contest over on the TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com. If you head on over there right now, we are currently running some canonization contests for the Bionicle story. Bionicle was a LEGO line released in 2001, and it ran for approximately a decade, where it came back in 2015 and ended subsequently a year and a half after that. Right now, we are currently working on figuring out the canonization rules and guidelines for the Toa Haga, a team of Toa that protected Makuta Pterodax, released in 2005. A team of 6 Toa, of which we only got 2 sets in 2005, as I just mentioned. I'm really trying here. I've been put on the spot. We're currently trying to figure that out right now, so head on over to the TTV message boards at board.ttvchannel.com. You need to be 13 years or older and read the rules. You have a good time. Also, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/ttvchannel. Low's $1 a month. You can join our Patreon Discord server, as well as our Minecraft server on the island of Matanui and Voronui, with more to come. And finally, head on over to Twitter at the TTV channel.
Oh,
Wow.
all right, good job.
Well done.
All right. Well done. Ah, man, I always enjoy hearing about the contest.
No, you don't. And
They're
no,
going-
I
they're going
don't.
pretty well this time. They could be a lot worse.
I like it because I enjoy hearing LJ suffer.
And I do. I do. It is suffering.
Fair enough. Well, I think that's about it for the day for us for NINJAGOcast. I want to thank Ulti again for being a part of this. You really definitely added to the energy here, and also to the numbers of people who enjoyed the island and whatnot. And also, since you have a unique perspective, since you saw it in French first, so
It was a pretty consistent audience of like 50 people that watched as well. So thank you
that's
for
pretty
that.
good.
You know,
This was an incredibly long, almost 3-hour long show. So
I
thank
know.
you all for sticking
For
with
the
it.
island too, right?
Also, 2 things. 1, Alti, maybe you can come back again if, you got a little better at Destiny. You could beat us more soundly.
Yeah.
Haley, why are you playing crickets?
I don't know. My alarm just went off again.
What the fudge? Way to undercut my sick roast of our guest.
Sorry, Ulti.
Secondly, I would like to extend a very special thank you to Tom Andreasen for the gems that he provided us this day in the YouTube live chat.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, bumper sticker.
I
That'll
might
soon be at the TTV store. You can buy your own bumper sticker.
I might have to
Honestly.
actually make that a bumper sticker, not gonna lie.
It's really good. I like it. Thanks, Tommy, as always, for listening. And yeah,
We look forward to the future, Tommy.
I'm waiting. Tommy.
Gets your swinging arm because we're ready to get hit.
I was comparatively mild today. if Ronin is benched for 2 years and Seabound is underwhelming, I'm coming for you. Anderson versus Andres.
This time it's personal.
This time.
You took Ronin away from me.
It's all right.
I don't even know who you are.
Literally, I'd make that a meme. Ronin was sacrificed at the altar of Twitchy, the Twitch streamer.
Tim, the Twitch streamer.
Ah, yes.
All right.
All right.
Well,
we don't have music, but
yeah, we don't have music, but thank you everyone for coming out today. Yeah, everyone do make your own. There you go. Everybody for NINJAGOcast.
Okay, it's just taking her out. You can't even hear her.
I can't even hear my thoughts. But you guys are good. You guys did really good.
Thanks.
Need to record that and have it be the new intro music.
No,
But
actually, wait, hold up. AJ just sent me a good idea. We will have outro music. Behold.
it's not.
No, it's not gonna.
We Shop channel.
Wait, Rhythm is back. Rhythm, where were you, Rhythm?
Wait, Rhythm is back.
Sorry,
Wait,
everyone.
it's not Rhythm. It's not working.
I went to a local convenience store and got lost
That's
attempting
weird,
to
actually.
find soup.
Rhythm just wanted.
I just instinctively played music without even thinking about what I was doing, and Rhythm is back, I guess.
And not working, so it doesn't matter.
Outro, let's go.
What the?
Rhythm, come on. Anyhow, this is the NINJAGOcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're sticking the landing. I am Sensei Wolf.
I'm LJ.
I'm Messa.
I'm Sakota.
And that guy over there is Ulti. Thank you all so much for coming out today. And we look forward to whatever happens next in Ninjago. But until then, I hope you all have a very ninja day.
Bye, guys.
Rhythm, why are you like this, Rhythm?
I don't know.
Forgive me.